Good morning and welcome to the AM show. It's such a delight that you've joined us this morning. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of January 2024, and it's still early days in the new year. So I hope you still have that positive and hopeful kick in your steps. If you don't, I hope my energy rubs off you. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and welcome to the AM show. I do this with Benjamin Akaku. In today's headlines, in today's lineup, I'll bring you the news. So let's get into that right away. To begin with, JoyNews' checks have revealed that there's still a rise in mobile money fraud despite government's policy for SIM card holders to link their SIM cards to the Ghana card. Government last year asked Ghanaians to link their SIM to their Ghana cards in a bid to thwart fraudulent activities, protect users, and maintain the integrity of financial transactions. Michael Ashali reports that the Momo fraudsters continue to prey on unsuspecting public despite this act. Now, some parents of the Sogbeli Junior High School Block A in the northern region have accused school authorities of levying them some 320 Ghana cedis as fees, something they say is contrary to government's directives. Now, according to parents who would not speak on tape, this is affecting them. Here's Martina Bugri with the rest of the story. Well, we apologize for that break. To begin with, let's get into the news. JoyNews' checks have revealed there's still a rise in mobile money fraud despite government policy for SIM card holders to link their SIMs to the Ghana cards. Government last year asked Ghanaians to link their SIM to their Ghana cards in a bid to thwart fraudulent activities, protect users, and maintain the integrity of financial transactions. Michael Ashali reports there's still Momo fraudsters who continue to prey on unsuspecting public despite this act. There's more.
Mobile money fraud has now become so pervasive. The motive is varied, but the bottom line is to get money from you. These deceptive schemes often commence with a seemingly ordinary text message characterized by glaring grammatical errors. Construction in fraudulent messages might just be a deliberate strategy employed by cyber criminals.
When it's about spelling, it is not as if they can't spell.
Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, suggests that the use of poor grammatical constructions by the fraudsters is just an attempt to circumvent their new artificial intelligence-enabled system.
The confirm, maybe the R that is there, they will make it an S. They will change a few of the things in there so that once the AI is crawling it, he sees it, it's not what it is that he's looking for. So, but fortunately for us now, we're beginning to use AIs. So what the AI do is that once they see all of this, they learn. So they start seeing the spelling mistakes that you want to beat them.
Other times, fraudsters will call you with promises to lure you to send them money. Ohene Anoche was almost scammed weeks ago. He knows the plot of these fraudsters very well.
No, they will just call you like normal call, and then he will say hello. So he will not even ask your name first. No, he will just say, "It is me, your auntie, who is in London." And then personally, I don't have any auntie in London. So I just said, which of my aunties in London? He said, "Oh, have you forgotten?" Then you mentioned some name. So I just said, no, I don't have any auntie in London. So. Yeah.
As unsuspecting individuals continue to fall victims to various schemes, the tactics employed by these fraudsters continue to evolve.
Someone will just call you and be like, when will I receive the money? Please, I've sent you this money. Can you confirm? And several calls of that, several calls.
they were asking me, when am I paying my debt? So I asked, with debt? And then he said the debt I was owing him. The way the person responded again and spoke with me again, I realized it was one of these fraudsters.
Like I deposit 1,000 cedis into my account, and the person was calling me, I sent 250,000 cedis into my account.
So they have sent 250,000 cedis to your account?
To my account. I should withdraw it back to him. Then I went back to check my account and I noticed that, it was a lie. And I bossed up him by giving him some sense into his head.
Rose and Okwe have been victims of cyber fraud.
And when they called me, they said they've sent me some amount of 400 cedis. So I should check by dialing my PIN. So then I was very curious. My brother asked me not to do it, but I told him, being a good Samaritan, but I didn't know that maybe it's true or it's not true. But the moment I just dialed my PIN code, they just took the money. And later on, I called them to beg them that please, the money was for something important. They should send the money back to me. But they refused. And I called MTN. MTN told me they would get back to me, but nothing.
The string number called me, then he was like, he sent me money, so I should check my account. But after that time, I didn't receive the money. So some few minutes later, the message came from MTN, like it was MTN, like if you receive money from MTN, but it was coming from a Tigo line. So but I was just suspicious, like how will I?
The person introduced himself as a worker from a telecom company.
Yes, that he works at MTN and he sent the money to me. Then all right, the message came all right as MTN, but it was coming from a Tigo line. So I still reading the message. I realized that there was spelling mistakes and all that from it. So I relaxed. Then he called again that he sends me the money. I check my account. I should check my account that instantly. And I was like, no, the message you sent was even wrong. And this is not how messages appear from MTN and all that. Then he was pressuring me. Then I should just check my account number. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm checking my account. Because of that, he got bored. They started insulting me. I just hung up.
Mobile money operators are not even spared.
They will tell you that they want to check. They want to help you with some difficulties that you are facing in the business. For me, they've been calling, but me, the moment you said I'm from MTN, I'll just end the call. I don't listen because MTN has only one number.
The modus operandi has, however, evolved over the years.
You know, like Tieno Achebu would say, when the hunter learns to shoot without missing, the birds learn to fly without perching.
Now, they pose as agents of some of the mobile networks under the guise that you are a lucky winner of a draw.
I'm Linda Ofori. Our calls are recorded for education and training purposes. So for detailed understanding, are you okay with the English or should I speak to you in any local dialect?
Oh, but you are already communicating in English. Huh?
We are 28 years. Could you remember the number of years you've also been on a network with this very particular mobile number?
I think about 15 or so.
Okay, so you are very close. I'm going to remind you of the year you registered the SIM card. So MT, we thank you very much. We were asking all these questions to actually survey the network to know how good or bad it's performing.
From enticing phone calls promising rewards to posing as mobile network agents, the aim of the scammers is simple. Extract your personal information and use them to later impersonate you.
So we have a very nice package for you. And please, with the prices we have for you, have to visit the nearest MTN branch with your valid ID card, that is your Ghana card, to receive your package successfully. So first of all, MTN is giving you 50.
Now, some parents of the Sogbeli Junior High School Block A in the northern region have accused school authorities of levying them some 320 Ghana cedis as fees, something they say is contrary to government directives. According to parents who would not speak on tape, this is affecting them. Here's Martina Bugri with the rest of the story.
The Zegbele Junior High School Block A is one of the oldest junior high schools in the Tamale metropolis. The school currently has over 500 students and is running a 3-stream system. The parents named levying of furniture 100 Ghana cedis, Friday were 50 cedis, PTA dues 40 cedis, maintenance fee 30 cedis, computer fee 35 and badges 20 cedis levies imposed on them. But the headmaster of the school, Adamu Musa Nabila, said the decision to levy the parents was solely the PTA's decision.
But this year, what happened was that when we resumed for the first time, we realized that we had challenges with our furniture. So because of that, I had to invite PTA in. I called them PA, we sat together. So I told them that this is, these are our challenges. What are we going to do about it? So they told me that, well, if only parents, and normally what we do is that this place we conduct entrance exam. We conduct entrance exam, shortlist those who pass. This place, that's what we do. We run the school as if it is a private school. That is it. So after that, then we are running 3 streams. From 1 10 classes, from 2 3 classes, from 3 classes. So we realize that from ones who are coming, they are freshers. So upon deliberation, PT agreed that we should call the parents of the fresh students to come and we all sit together. So that was how we did. So on that day, the PTA executive were all there, and then they concluded on the set fees that you mentioned. So that is the issue at stake.
The PTA chairman, Al-Hassan Hussein, who spoke to JoyNews, said it was a collective agreement by all parents to levy themselves to help raise funds to provide quality tuition for their wards. He said the school had no furniture and the computer were all out of use, reason for some of the levies.
Before they started the admission, the headmaster called me and he said, start. He told me that things that they needed for every child. So when this was said, I said then I have to also call my executives. So I called the executives. We sat down and discussed about it because they were to admit 160 people, and they have ABC, Form 1A, Form 1B, Form 1C, and each class takes no less than 60 people. So when that happened, they talk of drawing materials and the chair, furniture, and drawing materials. So we calculated those materials, money, and it cost us no less than it. It cost us a lot. So I asked one of my executives to go to market and check the prices and see whether what they said is or not. So the person went and came and told me that the amount they said is the same thing. So we then called general meeting, all parents. So when they came, we explained all this to them. So it was 360 Ghana cedis. When we can do our own calculation, it was 360 Ghana cedis. So I told them what's happening in the school. And I said, now I want to hear from them, what do we do? Because we want our children to sit. And they said that we should accept that. And some said no. We should reduce some of the drawing materials so that the money will be reduced. So they withdraw some of the drawing materials, and it left 350 Ghana cedis.
And my question I asked the headmaster, GES says don't charge.
Okay.
So why would the PTA take a decision contrary to that of the Ghana Education Service?
The reason was that we want to educate our children. So if we are going to depend on government to educate our children, they could have admit the children to this school. There wouldn't be furniture for them. So will you allow your child to come and lie on his stomach and write on leg? So all these questions came in the meeting. All these questions came. And they said, no. They even compared this school to a private school, the amount they pay there. So they said, At first, we were told that if you can get a furniture and bring it. So they went and asked the price of furniture. It cost no less than 206, plus other materials. So when they went and asked, they all came back.
In other stories, a senior lecturer at the Simon Diodong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, Dr. George Jerry, has bemoaned the lack of concrete plans for youth involvement in the governance of the country, despite the repeated reference to the youth as future leaders. Speaking at a youth summit in Wuaku, Dr. Jerry cautioned the potential explosion of youth unemployment, warning that it could become a ticking time bomb if left unaddressed. Rafiq Salam has this report from Wuaku.
The Youth Summit, codenamed Igniting Dreams, was organized by the Coalition for Positive Impact, CPI, with the goal of empowering young entrepreneurs in the 5 regions of northern Ghana. Launched in 2019, the summit is a proper entrepreneurship development project that provides startup capital and critical support to aspiring entrepreneurs in underserved regions. This year's summit gathered participants from the 5 regions of northern Ghana and beyond, comprising of entrepreneurs, investors, government representatives, thought leaders, policymakers, and international development partners. Diverse panels delve into critical discussion addressing pertinent issues affecting northern Ghana's development. The 2-day summit was held on the theme Developing Northern Ghana through leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship. A senior lecturer at the Simon Diodong Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, SZD Yobits, Dr. George Jerry, emphasized government's limited efforts in involving youth in the country's governance.
I've had the opportunity also to meet key stakeholders in all the 5 regions, including RCC, who are spearheading youth development. And I have done that, submitted the report. We are yet to meet the sector ministers and see how we can conclude, and then put in a proposal to access heavy funding for youth in northern Ghana. The issue is that most of the times our people will talk about the youth, but there are really no plans for the youth. And let me say that we keep on saying that the youth are the future leaders. But if you don't invest in the youth cannot be the future leaders. It's just mere rhetoric. So we really need to invest in the youth.
Dr. George Jerry reiterated concerns about the ticking time bomb or youth unemployment, warning of potential severe consequences if the issue remains unaddressed.
And youth unemployment continues to degenerate. And one thing we don't know as a people is that youth unemployment is a time bomb. At the appropriate opportunity, the country will explode if you don't solve it. There's a saying that water will find its level. If you fail to construct gutters or gullies for waters to pass, they will find their level. So if the youth get to a point, they have to survive, they will find their level. And that was what happened with the Arab Spring, where the youth had to get up and take action. So it is important that collectively we address the challenges of the youth as a nation and not just pay lip service to it.
Following the presentation of their business concept, a group of 10 young entrepreneurs received awards and support totaling 38,500 Ghana cedis. 12,000 Ghana cedis was given to the ultimate winner. Founder and president of the Coalition for Positive Impact, Mazo Bayoni, shed light on the summit's objectives and highlighted concerns regarding the accessibility of government funds for youth initiatives.
We started Igniting Dreams in 2018. At the time, we were all 3 university students, and the fundamental reason for us was that we wanted to address 2 key issues: poverty and youth unemployment. Because when you are able to provide economic opportunities for people, you are able to solve a lot of problems, including lack of access to quality education, lack of access to good drinking water, and even lack of access to quality healthcare. So these issues were very personal to us, especially because we are from northern Ghana, and we just took it upon ourselves to try and address these issues by going in the direction of young entrepreneurs. Because if you look at the historical antecedents, it's also evident that before colonial time, northern Ghana was relatively more developed than southern Ghana. And how did we achieve that? It was through trade and economic activities. We want to revamp that economic activity in northern Ghana.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Still in the northern region, District Chief Executive of Nadoli Kaliu, Catherine Lankono, has underscored the important role played by sports and cultural activities in developing societies. Speaking at the start of a two-day inter-cluster football and cultural dance competition held at Sankana under the auspices of the Gulf of Guinea Social Cohesion Project, she said these activities provide an opportunity for members of the community to connect with others in order to build meaningful relationships for peaceful cohesion. Rafik Salam again has this report.
In a bid to foster unity and cultural understanding, the Gulf of Guinea Northern Region Social Cohesion Project, SOCO, organized a groundbreaking inter-cluster football and cultural dance competition at Sankana in the Nulukaliu district of the Upper West region. Spectators witnessed matches between clusters. Jambo defeated Topo by 3 goals to nil, while Sankana secured a 2-0 victory over Charapon. Jan Sombo cluster scored the fastest goal of the in less than a minute, bringing excitement to their supporters. The football competition, which was done simultaneously with the cultural dance, amazed the audience. Nuntabawa and Yirma Bawa groups set the stage on fire as they dance their hearts out to melodious local songs. Residents of these communities express their brotherhood and excitement that these events brought to their area.
It is developmental program, and then we learn a lot. Secondly, it is you exercise your body. Yes.
This project continue going on. We will continue to learn our culture. Very good.
Nadoli Kaliu District Chief Executive Catherine Lankono underscored the importance of the events.
The Soko Fun Games is a two-day competition of football and cultural performance by our talented men and women from 4 classes with about 200 participants. The purpose of organizing these interclass sports and play-based activities are to provide opportunities for all members of the communities, children, adolescents, youth, elderly, persons living with disability, etc., to connect with others and build meaningful relationships, and provide opportunities for members of the communities to build resilience and adopt strategies for leadership roles that promote both community and personal development and well-being. Also enhance social cohesion, that's community bonding, by encouraging the communities to form sporting teams from diverse ethnic backgrounds.
Acting Director for Center for National Culture, Yaya Jamal Dean, in a speech read on his behalf by a senior administrative officer, now with City Bompson, stressed how youth engagement in culture and sports promotes peace and unity.
Programs such as this nature also provide the opportunity for members of the various communities to connect with one another for a meaningful relationship and to enable us build resilience and adopt strategies for leadership roles that will promote both community and personal development.
Nadoli Kaliu District Planning Officer Salif Ibrahim Tieni shared insights into organizing communities for social cohesion.
For school to mobilize community youth, empower them, and let them build new relationships and foster relationships. So that is why we are organizing these particular games under the
World's mission spans economic, social and climate resilience in border communities vulnerable to conflicts and climate change, aimed at mitigating fragility and violence across Gulf of Guinea countries. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Sankana.
And that's it for the news. That last story was from the Upper West region and not the Northern region. But still to come, Benjamin Akakpo is coming on for the news review. He'll be joined by Dr. Asasante, political scientist, to give you the latest chronicles of things making the waves this morning. You want to keep watching because right after that, there's the big stories. We'll get into the issues from data from the National Road Safety Authority that shows that a 4% decline has been recorded in road traffic accidents in 2023. We also look at how to consolidate the numbers and increase the margins. And then finally, we'll talk about Get Fund. What's the latest on its scholarship scheme? How do you get to benefit? Dr. Richard Ampofo-Boedu, who is the Get Fund administrator, will also join us. This is the AM show. But of course, we open the phone lines. And then remember, this show is about you and for you. So you get to share your views as well. Then we also got AM Business, Ketty of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. All this within the next 2-3 hours. So keep watching the AM show.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us on the AM show. Time now for the news review. And right before we get into our guest, you know how we do it. I'm going to introduce to you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. If this is the first time you're hearing about them, you're a bit late, but better late than never. Now, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic does a lot by way of treating whatever your ailments may be. But for starters, they're offering for you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free, gratis, untiache. If you're a woman, fertility screening also for free. Zilch is what you pay, nothing. And here's where you can find them. Here in Accra, they are located at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Then there's Kumasi Kronumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady, Anaje State. Then there's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siama in Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just a starter, right? For us here with the news review. It's a Wednesday, it's midweek, and we're joined by Dr. Kwame Asasante. He is a political scientist. He's my former lecturer a long time ago at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. He also is director of the Center for European Studies at that same institution. Doc, Memawachi.
Good morning, Ben. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you too, Doc. So here we are, starting a new morning. There's a lot to talk about. It's been a whole week. And it's really good to have you join the conversation. So let's hit the ground running. Before we get into the papers, I always give you the opportunity of talking about something that's a burning issue, burning within you that you'd like to talk about, a smoldering one. But also, I'd like to run a few things by you. We're still waiting for the second tranche of the IMF's $600 million. There's a lot of optimism on the back of how far we've got and the signals from the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, the head, that will get it. In the meantime, there are so many things that are knocking things. As of August last year, our import cover was only about 1 month. 1 month of import cover. That is atrocious. It's not the first time that we have come close to that, though, but it's still atrocious. It means we are on the very cusp of any wind that blows could blow us away. There's also the bit about taxation. Vehicle income tax, and I'll not stop talking about them. VAT now on electricity, the emissions levy if you use a vehicle that uses diesel or petrol. The issues are many. In the meantime, we're also in the political season. The MPP parliamentary primaries are coming up. I don't know where you'll choose to go, but I just wanted to lay this basket of issues before you and have you go for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes on what you think is burning on your chest this morning. So over to you, Doc.
Yeah, I think I'll go outside all that you have said and look at the SDA request for election day to be changed.
One.
Yes. It is within their right to ask for anything, provided it is within or is permitted by law. So they can make that request. But I believe that such a request, you must also bring to bear all the other requests that could be made along the same lines. You and I know that this country allows for freedom of religion and assembly and the rest of them. So as a secular state, we have a way of doing things. Yes, now one group of Christendom is requesting for that. Is it not also the case that another group can emerge somewhere and also begin to demand for that? Let's give, for instance, for purposes of this conversation, if you have a traditional group also popping up saying that, yes, a day of the week may not also be suitable for us and the rest of them. So I believe that.
I believe sometime in was it 2008? We've had a similar issue before, right?
Yeah. And this thing also popped up in University of Ghana some years ago, where people demanded that examinations should not be written on the Saturday and the rest of them. The course dismissed it. And then up to date, you and I know we write exams every day. And if you take a cue from what happened in the University of Ghana campus, where examinations are written every day, where SDA people took part and continue to take part, I believe that this one should, this request, they should look at other option. Other option could be that, yes, early voting, or you have a special day that you are allowed to be to vote and the rest of them. But I'm not sure the state can really accommodate this thing in the manner that they are asking for, because if you look at it at the long run, one of the days will fall on Saturday. What will happen if another Saturday pops up? Are they going to ask for a change in the date? So I will urge them that, yes, we are acknowledging that it's within their right to make such a request, but they should also look at other factors and then see how far they can go to accommodate some of other views, so as to not to open the floodgate for others to also demand same. I think this is my message this morning.
Speaking of which, though, like you've said, if the traditionalists were to come forth and say, well, we want to do something on this day, or we usually do X on this day, so you cannot fix voting there. Like you said, in institutions of higher learning, these are done. How about if it fell on a Sunday? I mean, where I go to church, my parish, there are 4 masses, 6:30, 8 o'clock, 10:30, and 6 p.m. So you could say that for me, during Christmas, when I was working, I was still able to attend Mass, because if I went on duty in the morning, which I am, then I would attend Mass later in the day, in the evening. So we have those options. Some others will not have those options. But I interacted with a senior citizen, someone who's been in the Navy for a long time, high ranking, yesterday evening. And he suggested to me, listen, is it that if we missed church for one day, the Sabbath, and I am minding my words, I am not denigrating anybody's faith. I am Christian too. I am not trying to be aggressive or acerbic or unfeeling. But I am saying, if you were to miss church for good reason, and in my faith, I have also been taught that, for example, even in the Bible, it is there, for the sake of a good deed. Let's say you are going to church. You encounter that someone has had an accident. Everybody, maybe the person who hits the person has fled. And you know this person, if the person is not attended to, could die. Yes, there are 2 things. If you take the person to the hospital, sometimes you end up getting maybe accused or investigated as to whether you hit the person. But what's the human thing to do? Go to church or aid a human being who is dying? In other words, I'm going back to the Bible. Man was not made for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for man. So those were our reflections. That are we saying that if we miss the Sabbath once, where God knows that we are missing the Sabbath because we are fulfilling a civic responsibility, then everything, I don't know whether that point as well, or maybe you think I'm stretching it, but that was our contemplation yesterday with this naval officer, 70 plus.
I think it's a sound reasoning because I think they can make a way so as to make everybody comfortable in this process. Because there are other groups that can pop up, especially from traditional settings. What about that? Are we ready to accommodate also their demands if they should show up today? I think that is where we have to look at. And even the days that they are talking about, once you are talking about a day, a specific day on the calendar, it will change. Give yourself time, 5 years, 10 years, you will see it will change. Right. We've celebrated our birthdays on the days that we were born, but you realize that as you go forward, the days changes. So it's a difficult thing, and I'm sure they can reflect on it and then take a cue from some of the suggestions from the Christendom and other groups. I think that will help all of us. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Doc. Let's get into the major stories now. The newspapers we have. This morning, we don't have the benefit of the Daily Graphic newspaper and the Ghanaian Times newspaper, at least not as yet. But the Daily Guide is where we'll kickstart this from. Northern Region NDC boys on rampage, and there's Otumfuo gives IGP thumbs up. Then there's AG files papers in Cecilia Dapa Maid's trial. And ambulance case, court to decide Dr. Anemane's fate. NPP names PC elections voting centers. I'm talking about the parliamentary candidates. On the back page, Kurt declares war on Egypt. Of course, it's all about the group we're in the AFCON. We lost to Cabo Verde, Cape Verde, and now we're hoping. Some have said that Egypt could actually be our easiest game. It could be, or we could suffer a trouncing. Either way, either extreme. I don't think there's going to be middle ground. We've seen some draws in the tournament so far, but I don't know. Roma sack Mourinho, and MTN thrills fans at viewing centers, and Hertha Berlin president dies at 43. Age. Nowadays, we keep saying, take care of yourself, because it's not about age. If the stress or whatever is too much, we don't know what exactly caused his death. I want you to grab a copy of the paper and get that. But I'm just saying that it's very easy nowadays with all the stresses, or stresses, if you like, for some of these things to happen. So let's stay focused. But Jose Mourinho has left Serie A side Roma with immediate effect, the club announced yesterday. Mourinho's contract was up at the end of the season, but following their 3-1 defeat to AC Milan on Sunday, and with the club in 9th in Serie A, the owners and managers have parted ways. It brings to an end Mourinho's spell at the club, which started in May 2021 and saw him win the Europa Conference League title in 2022 and reach the Europa League final last season. Let's get into the politics of things now. Some supporters of the National Democratic Congress went on a mindless rampage of vandalism on Monday in Tamale in the northern region, locking up the party's regional and constituency offices. The opposition party members were protesting the arrest and detention of their vice chairman, Alhaj Bewa, who has been accused of assaulting the regional treasurer, Hajia Shamima Yakubu. The irate NDC members asked that Alhaji Bewa be released from police custody immediately, or that no party national officers visit Tamale for any party function. The leader of the rampaging youth, Haruna Yakubu, told journalists in Tamale that they were giving the NDC national officers up to close of work on Monday to release Chairman Bewa. They dared the party officials to test their anger and see what would happen to them. Quoting them, they said, Any national officer should dare come to Tamale and see if he or she can organize any party activity here. I tell you, it will be on fire, he noted. So the story goes on, but those are the developments there. From time to time, you would see these with our major political parties. Sad incidents, really. And especially ahead of election 2024, we do not want these sparks, which could lead to some sort of fire in the future. But there's also AG files papers in Cecilia Dapa Maid's trial. The Office of the Attorney General has filed the witness statements and documents it intends to rely on to prove the guilt of the 7 persons standing trial over the whopping amount of money allegedly stolen in the home of former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abena Dapa. We all know the figures: $410,000, 300,000 euros, and 350,000 Ghana cedis, and more other items, kente, among other things. But someone asked me an interesting question the other day. He said, well, you have someone with these sums of money discovered. We still do not know the proper source of these sums of money, yet we're going after maids who stole the money. And I tried to explain to the person that, well, both sides ought to be looked at. But that's some of the thinking out there. Then let me do the story, and then I believe we can get reactions from you, Doc. There is the ruling New Patriotic Party has announced the voting centers for the January 27, 2024 parliamentary primaries in 108 constituencies around the country. The elections will be held in 22 constituencies in the Eastern region, 37 in the Ashanti region, 9 in the Western region, 2 in the Western North region, 3 in the Ahafo region, 1 in the Upper West region, 4 in the Bono region, and 1 in the Bono East region. Any reflections on these stories, Doc?
Yeah, I'll start with the NDC story, where the youth are on rampage, threatening, as it were, the party and the rest of them. This is no good news. You don't organize party based on what violence and the rest of them. I am happy that the party has done the right thing, handed those they accuse of being part of it to the police. Appropriate forum, yes. So the police would deal with it. But we want to urge party actors or political actors that if you have differences, it is important to sit down and talk than resorting to violence. These things go a long way to undermine the fortunes of the party. And it is not a good time to undertake that. In fact, we don't even countenance violence at all in any democracy. Democracy is driven by rule of law. And if you have any concern, report to your party or report to appropriate security apparatus for them to handle it. But taking the law into your own hands would not help anybody. I am sure the police are on top of their business. They will handle this thing very well. Then the MPP story. They are going to elect about 127 parliamentary candidates. We wish them well. We always want to caution that issue of violence should not be part of the process, and that the use of money, which has gradually becoming, very prominent in activities of political party, particularly MPP in this time, they should do away with that. There is no point using money to influence the choice of any leader. Once you do that, at the end of the day, you've lost it. The leader will not serve your interest. He will recoup his money or her money, and you will be the sufferer at the end of the day. Democracy is driven by what messages, issues that confront society. So if you really want to stay afloat, you need to be abreast with the problems of society and find solution in the form of what messages and the rest of them for your people. And it is not money. They should shy away from money. It is not a good thing.
All right, then let's get into some other stories. I also want to take a quick look at the other story there. Ambulance case court to decide Dr. Animane's fate. A high court in Accra will on January 23, 2024 decide whether or not to release the passport of former Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Sylvester Animana, who is standing trial alongside Minority Leader Dr. Cassio Atoforsen for causing financial loss to the state. Lawyers for the retired public servant had filed an application before the Financial and Economic Division urging the presiding judge, Justice Ifyasewa Asaributri, a Court of Appeal judge sitting as an additional High Court judge, to release the passport to enable Dr. Anemana travel abroad to seek medical treatment of medical conditions which have been described as very serious. Dr. Atiforsen Sylvester Anemana, a former chief director of the Ministry of Health, as well as a private businessman, Richard Jakpa, are standing trial for willfully causing financial loss to the tune of 2.37 million euros to the state through a contract to purchase 200 ambulances for the Ministry of Health, among other charges. One thing of interest to me, Doc, these stories, you would notice that there is a certain fan belt on which we recirculate them, and it usually tends to be when an electoral year is approaching. I'm sure you've also heard the bit about Koku Anyidoho, among others, in respect of Professor Atta Mills's autopsy report. Another such situation. And from the other side as well, every electoral season, I ask myself sometimes, if these matters are as serious as is painted, why do those who are cited never? I mean, why is it that the long arms of the law never reach them? It's always a fan belt. Oh, look at the Airbus scandal, right? Look at some of the other things. I don't know whether you're seeing what I'm seeing, but there's a certain pattern where every how many years, getting close to an election, there are these stories. If the people are guilty, why are they still walking out there? I don't know. I don't know what your thinking is.
Yes. I think if you look at some of the issues, for what you just said, the first one, it is with a court appropriate forum, it will be dealt with. But I have also observed what you have seen. We are getting closer to elections, some issues come up. Airbus, this Professor Mills autopsy report, and the rest of them. Sometimes I ask myself, if you look at the autopsy report of Professor Mills, sometimes I ask myself, I said, Mr. Anyidoho, is he a member of the family or he has a personal interest? If he has a personal interest, there's nothing wrong. He should go to appropriate forum and lay his case bare. But you hear consistently and you see response from the family of Professor Mills. It makes everybody uncomfortable. If people feel that something untoward has been done, those who are alleging things of this nature should go to appropriate security apparatus and make their case right there, than holding everybody to ransom. I'm not comfortable with that. Professor Mills is dead. His family is mourning, but every time, they keep on reminding the family of painful situation, and I don't think it is fair to Professor Mills' family at all. If anybody believes that something wrong has been done, that person has the right to go to court so that we can spare the family, we spare the whole state and the rest of them. Any issue like Airbus issue, I mean, if you think that there was a wrong deal in that process, put people before court and let us, follow the process to the end. But people will touch on it, and when it's so important for the issue to be discussed, it will just be thrown away. We saw the last election. At the beginning of the election, it was a hot issue. When issues were at their, zenith, that we believe that this is the time for this issue to be discussed, it did not feature in part of the campaign. So I have also taken note of some of the issues. And I think that if we read in between the lines carefully, we'll be able to dismiss them and then treat them with the contempt that they deserve. If people believe that those issues, some of them have merit, let them put them before appropriate authorities to discuss.
And especially for the Professor Atta Mills issue, I find it particularly, if I were even, not being a member of the family, it's like a wound that constantly is opened from time to time. And I do not feel, I feel that from whichever ends, whether NDC, MPP, whether for propaganda or politics, I feel the right things have not been done. Because when I listened to Koku Anyidoho, the family of Atta Mills, may his soul rest in peace, has questioned even those purported family members who supposedly went to engage Mr. President. But let's set that aside. Dr. Samuel Atta Mills, who is a member of parliament, has stated that, listen, if you keep poking a bee's hive long enough with a stick, the bees will come out and sting you. And here's why. And I found it surprising if that turns out to be the truth. There are mechanisms within which an autopsy report is produced and places from which you can get them. Now, Mr. President suggested that, well, when he posed the question, Koko Anyidoho suggested it was a certain Samuel Atta Mills, Dr. Atta Mills, who had suggested that he had an autopsy report, but he had never seen a report. I found it a bit curious. Then the president said, how is it that a statesman of this nature passes on and we don't have... But I asked myself questions after listening to Dr. Samuel Atta Mills. He said, listen, what is this hullabaloo about? One, the AMA had a copy. In fact, the 37 military hospital also had a copy, and we got our copy from these entities. So how is it possible that I'm asking myself, is it that Koku doesn't know? Is it also that Mr. President doesn't know the mechanisms within which, or is it that Dr. Atta Mills is not telling us maybe there's something untruthful about what he said? But if indeed they got it from the AMA and we know the channels and from the 37 military hospital, why are we still talking about the issue? Do you get where I'm coming from?
I get it. And that is where I'm so surprised. Because, you know, you can verify this from the hospital, from AMA, from the court. All right. You do all this thing. Even you want to bury a person, you need burial permit, you need autopsy report, and the rest of them. So what are we talking about? As if we can't find this. You know, the constant reminder of the family of the pain that they've gone through, I think that is unfair to the family. Everybody in this circle should desist from that. If you believe that something is wrong because Professor Mills was a public figure, there's nothing wrong. You know what to do. Go to appropriate authorities, make your case, than constant reminder of the family of the pain. I think it's very, very unfair. It's very, very unfair.
Right. Let's wrap with these stories. So the Ghanaian publisher, and then I'll go to the Chronicle. NDC supporters lock up party office in Tamale. We've taken a look at that story. The CBG receives 2.5 billion Ghana cedis in fresh capital. No honeymoon. I want us to wrap on this note. No honeymoon. 2025 president must not ask for time. That's according to Abu Jinapo, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. That story is also captured by the Chronicle newspaper. Banner headline: dealing with our challenges, 2025 will require action president, not a honeymooner. That's according to Jinapo. I want us to focus on that. Why is Jinapo saying this? I'm sure you've heard former President Mahama saying that, looking at the economic hole, depression we find ourselves in, we also shouldn't expect a magic wand, abracadabra. You wave it and all of a sudden the problems are gone. So he will require some time. If his party wins the election, he's spoken about Ghanaians giving him time to be able to stabilize the economy. He's spoken about Ghanaians bearing with him should he become president. And that is what is at stake. Yesterday, I had interactions with Professor Bokpin, Dr. Theo Echampong, both economists, and I asked them, economically speaking, how long do they feel the president would need to at least get something stable? By and large, they were suggesting a year plus. And he's also said that he will set up a national economic forum to get ideas. You remember the one that was held, during their time. But from where you sit, do Ghanaians have that patience? Do we have the time? And is it a call in the right direction to expect miracles or to be patient with whoever assumes the reins of power? That's my final bit to you.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because, once you step up into the plate that you are ready to govern, we expect that you have put all your acts together and you are ready to deal with any situation head on. So, yes, you can make a call that, yes, they should give you a break so that you'll be able to put the house in order and govern effectively. But how long? The right question you pose to your colleagues you met. That is where the difficulty is. I believe that I will urge Mr. Mahama Yes, he has made that request, but that he should go beyond this and put his team together so as to be able to handle this, because Ghanaians will never be patient with him. Because once you've taken the reins of government, they want you to hit the ground running. If you find difficulties with the system, I believe the way to go is to come out, explain to them, and then demonstrate that what the previous government did, for which reason Ghanaians have given you the nod, you are not going to repeat that. You are going to live a life that is worth emulating. That means that expenditure, we are going to see serious cut, government size reduce, and the things that we did that affected this country so much is going to be looked at again. That is on the condition that Ghanaians give him the mandate. So we expect him to get ready if it is his belief that he will win the election, and then deal with our problems head on. Because for patience, I'm not sure Ghanaians will be so patient with him. But he can also convince them by the little things that he can do within the honeymoon period that he's talking about, to convince Ghanaians that yes, he's in to solve their problems. And out of that, Ghanaians will now consider whether they will be patient with him or not. He should develop messages that will really resonate with people, that will deal with these problems that we have head on. And I believe that is a way to go. But there's nothing wrong in making that call. But as to whether the people will accept is another thing. But I will urge him to put his team together, make sure that he's on top of all the issues, and begin to govern, and then live opulent lifestyle away. Make sure that we have the right structures in there, and then he demonstrates with example that he cares for the people. That is all.
Right. I just wanted to, I need to add this. Interestingly, I've also heard, even in the fight against Galamsey, talk about, be patient with us and all of that. I find it interesting that the Lands and Natural Resources Minister is saying that it's okay. It's a line of thinking. But I'm also wondering, should the MPP candidate win, I wonder whether he would also expect some level of patience, since he was vice and now he's president. I'm just thinking aloud. And I don't know whether you have any thoughts on that. We also have on JoyNews on Facebook this bit. If you're minded to respond in some 30 seconds. What we've posted: rate President Akufo-Addo's performance within the last 7 years in office. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the president, Doc?
1 to 10?
Yeah.
I'll give him 3.
3 out of 10?
Yes.
30%?
Yes.
Do you have any reasons in just a few seconds?
The Ghanaian political system is driven highly and by the economy. Where this government has taken us to is something that will never be lost on our minds. If you look at the signals that were early to give to the government, and people said, stop borrowing, do this, all these things fell on deaf ears, and now we are where we are. I have no, other thing than to say that I'll give the government 30%. If you look at all the promises that the government made, and here I'm talking about second term, I'm not talking about first term. The first term was judged, and that is why he was giving the mandate. But for the second term, I'm seeing abysmal failure in terms of economic performance, political performance, and the rest of them. Yes, that is my view about how I see the government. The economy we are here, some of the problems we find are self-inflicting. If government had listened to advice of people, yes, we may have difficulties. COVID hit us and the rest of them. But the role that the government played in this was also a part that has brought us this far. If you look at reckless expenditure, there are a lot of, literature on that.
Right.
Auditor General reports and the rest of them. Corruption is virtually overtaking us. If you look at Transparency International report and the rest of them, we're looking at what government with capacity to be able to handle a menace such as what Galamsey, which has all manner of health problems, and the government is sitting aloof as if there's nothing happening. All these things and more are things that are put together, and I give the government 30. But the government can convince me if from now onwards it can put its house in order, then we can also gauge from time to time and then tell what we believe in. But that is my, comment for now.
Doc, we're grateful for your time, and I wish you a wonderful Wednesday, like the Germans will say, a wunderbar Wednesday. Dr. Kwame Asante, political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. I'm asking you as well, as we have the rest of our conversation, what do you think? How would you rate President Akufo-Addo's performance within the last 7 years in office? We're finally in the 8th year. This segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and today has been no different. You can locate them here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Boyha behind the Angel Educational Complex, the Stakrade Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siama Enzima. And of course, you know what they're offering you. If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. And of course, they can give you whatever else you need at their clinic. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. We'll bring you more on the AFCON, of course, South Africa succumbing to Mali, among others, in sports up next. To get into the big stories, and first on the chopping board, we're contemplating how Ghana is making some strides in terms of dealing with road crashes, the carnage on our roads. Now, data from the National Road Safety Authority shows a 4% decline in road traffic accidents in 2023. Today, we'll discuss that as we look into what exactly the measures are that have been brought to bear to consolidate these numbers and increase the margins. Joining us for a conversation, we have Daniel Wuaku, Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the National Road Safety Authority. We also have Ebo Gabra, Cecil Ebo Gabra, CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. I do not know which one of you. Okay, so, right. Mr. Wuaku? Mr. Wuaku, good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
It's good to have you join the conversation. Do we have Cecil Gabra? Mr. Gabra, can you hear me? Okay, it appears we don't have Mr. Gabra yet. So let me start from the very start. There has been a narrative over the last few years in terms of the carnage on our roads, in terms of the involvement of motorbikes or kada and the rest, also including during... All right, I think one of you may be using a gadget that is giving feedback. So if your TV is close to you and if the volume is high, I would encourage that you lower it because I'm getting feedback from where you are. Mr. Wuaku?
Yes. My TV is not on. I'm okay.
Okay, all right. I was getting some interference. But anyway, so I was painting the picture about the past, the trend, and now we see that, at least if we're looking at Christmas, there are certain dynamics that occurred last year. Of course, the comparative is 2022. But I would ask you, essentially, have we made that much progress over the last 2-3 years? Or if you'd like to focus on just 2022 to 2023, from where you sit, have we made the sort of progress we would have wanted?
Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be here to share some marginal progress that the road safety situation in the country is observing in the recent past. If we take it from the year 2021 compared against 2022, we have realized some marginal reductions. If we take it from the year 2021 compared against 2022, we have realized some marginal reduction situations. If we take it from the year 2021 compared against 2022, we have realized some marginal reduction situations. If we take it from the year 2021, compare also compared against 2023 against 2022, we have still observed some reductions. The year 2021.
Okay, Mr. Wuaku, Mr. Wuaku, if you can hear me, Mr. Wuaku, if you can hear me, there is a situation. I think we're hearing you twice over. I do not know why that is. So we're going to pause because we're not comprehending what you're saying. It's repeating itself with an echo, right? So we'll try to rectify that. Welcome back on the AM show. Hopefully, we've been able to remedy that technical glitch. Gentlemen, Kofi, Mr. Gabra, Mr. Wuaku, can you hear me? Welcome back on the AM show. Can you hear me, gentlemen? Cecil Gabra, I see you. You have joined the conversation. Good morning, Mr. Gabra. Hello, Cecil Gabra.
Hello. What's happening?
Okay. Oh, at least I can hear you now. Mr. Wuaku, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Isaac Kofi?
Yes, Ben, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, Mr. Wuaku, I was asking, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I think we can continue with the conversation. Cecil Gabra, welcome aboard Efishapa.
I think I'm both here.
Nice. So let me start with Kofi Ajay. I think now that we have the full cohort, I'll start with Kofi Ajay. Kofi, please walk us through these statistics that the NRSA has given us. What is the tail of the tape?
Well, Ben, I must say that this, if we look at the data, is a massive improvement. Looking at the goal of the ministry and then also Ghana to eradicate road traffic deaths by more than some 50% by 2030. This is massive improvement. I'm looking at the data right from 1997, and you can see a significant improvement in terms of the number of deaths from road traffic crashes. The current figure shows we've returned to the 2005 level where we recorded a similar, number there in terms of the deaths. So I must say this is an improvement. But if you do a cumulative, computation of the data, you've realized between 2010 and 2023, we've lost more than 30,000 lives through road crashes, which is a very huge number. And usually when we are talking about road traffic crashes, we look at some key, 5 indicators, which is the death, the number of crashes, people who die from motorbikes, and then also injuries and another 2, indicators. All of these have seen significant reduction. So, for instance, if you look at the number of deaths comparing 2021 to 2023, we've seen massive improvement from 2,970 to now 2,276. So, Ben, if you look at all the key indicators, we have seen a nosedive, which is a positive news for us because we are talking about human lives and each life matters. So if we've seen this significant reduction by more than 500 persons, that's some sort of good news.
Right. Let me come to Mr. Wuaku, Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation with the National Road Safety Authority. Yes, the trend analysis points to the fact that there has been some sort of reduction, but give us a breakdown, 2022 to 2023. What really happened, Mr. Wuaku?
Thank you very much. If you compare, as Mr. J said, the figures taking it from 2021 as against 2022, we observed a reduction in the number of the crashes that were recorded, the number of injuries, and the number of deaths, as said. And then, if you compare the 2023 to 2022, for the same period, like January to December, we have seen a further reduction. So let me just take the one between 2023 and 2022. In the cases reported, we had a 5% reduction. Vehicles involved, we had 6% reduction. Persons killed, we had 4% reduction. Persons injured, we had 1% reduction. And the pedestrian knockdowns, we had 4.5% reduction. These are good news. But as I said earlier, one death is just one too many. We must be very careful, even though we must take some time and consolidate on the gains that we have made or we are making. We must still be conscious of the fact that there is danger out there on the road. Now, what really happened? The National Road Safety Authority have been executing this campaign over the past 3-4 years, the Stay Alive campaign, where we go out to intensify all our activities and educate the drivers, engage stakeholders, ensure that there is enough stakeholder coordination. In fact, there was so much emphasis on stakeholder coordination because National Road Safety Authority, we can't do it alone. And we have seen all this. The police are doing an incredible job. In fact, the motorcycle situation before 2021, we were seeing very massive or steep increases in motorcycle crashes and fatalities. But since 2021 and 2022, when the police introduced their PADI and intervention, and then deploying the police visibility at intersections and all, we have seen a massive improvement in the behavior of motorcycle operators, crashes that were prevented, and the DVLA and other stakeholders playing their part in support of the National Road Safety Authority. I think this has attributed to the marginal gains that we have been observing for the past few years. Thank you.
Thank you too, at least for this belt of the conversation. Let me come to Cecil Gabra. Any surprises in there? I mean, year on year, we've been talking about these statistics, how bad they've been. But what do you think is accounting for this lowering of the rate of carnage as far as our roads are concerned? Hello, Mr. Gabra. Hello, Mr. Gabra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Did you get the question, please?
Yes, I got your question.
All right.
I'm sure so much that it is the collaborated efforts that we have all put in. And that's from the National Road Safety Authority through the enforcement agencies. Okay. Many people have been so much aware of driving in general, okay, that this is an opportunity to save one's life like we all see. We become our brother's keeper, and people who have become recalcitrant are changing, and it's really a good one for all of us, right? You could even see that those who were doing Okada now has been discouraged because they have seen a lot of accidents. They've seen their friends' limbs chopped off, amputated, and therefore they've gone to courier. I will also say that with the courier services, fine, they are doing very well. You can see it. At traffic lights now, those motor riders are now stopping because the police are also everywhere on their motorbikes, ready to chase them and then get them to court. Nobody wants to go to court. Nobody wants to be fined. Nobody wants their motor bikes to be seized. And this is for the motor section. Okay. Now coming to vehicles, just like I said, we are also scared of repairs and maintenance. We are scared of deaths. injuries. And so, I mean, we all know that the situation is difficult to have your vehicle at the workshop, even changing an ordinary part. So why do I have to drive carelessly and then involve myself in an accident? If you look at the accident rates, you could tell that every speed which is more than 60 kilometers per hour will put you into trouble. So why don't you drive being in your lane, I mean, being cool? And that has really helped. And I'll also say that multimedia has done very, very well, I mean, for this years to pick up road safety as your baby, hammering with other stakeholders, including the National Road Safety Authority, including Isaac. All of us have done so well. But we shouldn't stop. We should continue. Right, we see vehicles. There are lots of vehicles being brought into the system. But then, what it really means also is that although we have the vehicles being multiplying every now and then, we have the situation where we are being careful. But I'll once again say that kudos to all of us. We've done well. We should continue. Our main aim is to reduce road crashes to the minimum figure, like in Europe. We are doing very well. I'm comparing figures in other African countries, and very soon maybe we'll have an analysis to say Ghana has become one of the best in terms of reducing road crashes on our roads.
I want us to now get into, and I think I'll start with you, Cecil, on that. I believe you have the complement of the Ghana Police Service, the Motor Traffic and Transport Department's motor accident returns. The full one, January to December. We'll focus on Christmas later because I also know I observed a number of things. Do you have the full complement of the data for the different regions with Accra and Tema segregated? Do you have that, Cecil?
Yes, I have it. Unfortunately, I haven't finished studying it, but I am still looking at it now. To say that we have had decreases in all the regions. It hasn't been easy, though, but then accident rate, for instance, in the Eastern region, which was quite high, is now at a low figure. And this also attributes to what I earlier on said, that enforcement is working in this country. You could really tell that the police is everywhere. The courts are also, let me borrow the word wild, that if they take you to any motor court, definitely you will be fined, and therefore nobody wants to be jailed at this particular point in time, or nobody wants to pay any fine. So you look at the regional figures. The regional figures are decreasing all over. It's a good sign to tell you that we are all working.
All right. As a Kofi Ajay, I do not know whether you have the full complement of this and whether you could run us through it quickly. If not, I'll have to do it myself. Kofi? All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to look at the data for the year 2023, January to December. You look at the different regions. Interestingly, there's a segregation between Accra and Tema. Yes, Greater Accra region, but Accra and Tema for good reason. And you would look at the fatal, serious, minor issues, then commercial, private versus motorcycles, and it gives the breakdown. So you would look at the total, for example, for Accra, fatal, serious, and minor injuries as a result of accidents, 4,797, Tema 994, and I think those are some of the highest figures you will see. But of course, right after the Greater Accra region, Ashanti with 2,312, which has been the tail of the tape. Then you also look at the private vehicles. You have 5,285 of them involved. Commercial vehicles, 2,229. Motorcycles, an area that has been a thorny one, you can look at 1,370 of them involved. So the total vehicles, you would have 8,884. And you also look at the total injuries. But something I found a bit interesting as we talk about the downward spiral or the spiral in the figures. If you look at the close of 2023, and then you look at the number of cases reported, you would find 14,135 in 2023. and in 2022, 14,960. Okay, so that already tells you that something has happened better in 2023 compared to 2023, yes, compared to 2022. Then for the commercial elements and all of those involved, 8,084 in 2023, 8,645 in 2022. Again, it shows you that the numbers are diminishing when it comes to those involved. When you go to commercial vehicles, no, private vehicles, the total, and I have to keep skipping, so please bear with me, 10,767 in 2023, but in 2022, over 11,000, specifically 11,677. So it continues. Then motorcycles, I'm concerned there. Interesting picture, 5,147 incidents in 2023. When you go to 2022, 5,432. With all of these metrics, it appears we have made some gains, some marginal, others large. Total vehicle count, you have 23,998, but in 2022, 25,754. So you look at all of these figures and realize that some major gains have been made. Let me come to you, Mr. Wuaku. Again, I'll pose the question. As far as the NRSA, the National Road Safety Authority itself is concerned, how have you fed into this? I know the MTTD is out there, or the MTTU. I also know that the police visibility teams are out there. But what exactly has the NRSA done that you feel has helped give us these results?
Thank you very much. Before I address this issue, let me just make a comment on the vehicle involvement in the crashes. There is a picture that is emerging. We've realized that the private vehicles are getting more involved in crashes than commercial vehicles. The absolute number of private vehicles that are involved in crashes is more than the number of commercial vehicles that are getting involved in crashes. So it's because the commercial vehicles carry large numbers. That is why we've realized that our focus is over there. But if we don't take care, the private vehicles are getting involved more and more in crashes, the situation may lead somewhere else. So private vehicle drivers must also be very, very careful. National Road Safety Authority, our focus is mostly more on the commercial vehicles because they transport people en masse. But private vehicle drivers must also be very, very careful. Now, at National Road
but even as you make that point, before you go on, Mr. Wuaku, does that mean also that in focusing on the commercial vehicles, because yes, they carry large numbers, we have taken our eye off the ball when it comes to the private vehicles?
Well, one way or the other, we operate with very limited resources. So if we are pushing our resources to commercial vehicles, of course, to some extent, we may not be focusing so much on the private vehicles, but that doesn't mean that we cannot design or a strategy to address the private vehicles. That is where we need to sit down and then design a strategy to get the private vehicles involved in ensuring that they also operate in a safe manner on our roads.
All right, please go ahead. You were making a point. I just needed a clarity on that point.
Exactly. So the National Road Safety Authority, being the body in charge of the management and the promotion and of the coordination of road safety in the country, we don't operate in a vacuum. We are directed or we are led by a strategy, the National Road Safety Strategy. The National Road Safety Authority has developed a strategy, and this strategy has action plans. And the action plans spells out the activities that all the stakeholders will have to be engaged in. So the National Road Safety Authority in the action plan has its responsibilities. The police in the action plan have their responsibility. The DVLA have their responsibility. Other stakeholders, including someone like Cecil Gabra, they all have their responsibility to operate or to undertake in the action plan. So we are being led by this action, the strategy and the action plan, which is drawn from the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety the second one, which is from 2021 to 2030. So this is what is leading us. When we go deeper into that, the National Road Safety Authority tries to coordinate the activities of these stakeholders. So we hold, for example, quarterly peer review meetings with all the stakeholders in the road safety space. For example, the DVLA is represented, the police is represented, the road agencies are represented, the emergency services are represented, and other civil society organizations are represented in this peer review, so that we know what someone is doing, where we are not doing too well, then we point it out, where we can collaborate and make gains, because where we have to depend on synergies, then we point all this out to lead us. So these are some of the things that we do. The National Road Safety Authority on its own, for example, we are mostly involved with road safety education and campaigns. So we have regional offices all across the country, and we go out there to conduct our campaigns, to engage the drivers, to engage pedestrians, to engage motorcycle riders, to engage passengers, to engage virtually all categories of road users across the country. So this we are doing even at the regional levels. We are doing collaboration with all the key stakeholders in the road safety space. In fact, recently, we have made a major progress in collaborating with the assemblies, and therefore the district assemblies and municipal assemblies are now going around, even coming up with setting up road safety committees. And when these committees are set up, they are going to take road safety to even the district levels where we are not yet represented now. So in the near future, the future looks quite okay, but we need to collaborate. We need to work together. We need to put in more effort. We need to be more conscious about our safety on our roads. In fact, the National Road Safety Authority, as I sit here as a director for research monitoring and evaluation, I'm not the one going to be the one to drive the car for you when you are out there in the road. I'm not going to be crossing the road for you. So the personal responsibility, you have to take your personal responsibility into your own hands. That's the first point of safety, your own self. As a driver, make sure that you are doing what you need to do to protect yourself first, and protect the people that you are carrying or you are transporting. As a motor rider, make sure that you are protecting yourself first. If it is red, it is red. There is no point in trying to say that I have to be smart and fast. If you are a pedestrian, remove that earpiece from your ear and walk, and be very, very conscious of the environment in which you find yourself. As a passenger, we have a role to play. Some drivers are out there to misbehave. At least point it to them that what they are doing is wrong. So everybody has a role to play. As much as possible, all the stakeholders, we are trying to do our best. And I'm sure if we all come together, we shall achieve even much greater improvements in our road safety situation. Thank you.
Thank you for now. Let me bring in Mr. Gabra. Mr. Gabra, so having listened to Mr. Wuaku, he talks about the fact that admittedly, while they've committed more resources to dealing with commercial vehicles, it appears to some extent their eyes have been taken off the ball of private vehicles, and that is resulting in the numbers, the increments that we are seeing. So if you look at the figures, you would notice that for commercial vehicles, we're looking at a total number of 2,229, while for private vehicles, it is actually pretty much double that figure, 5,285. Where do you think we're getting it wrong in that regard? And how do we remedy it?
I would say, again, well done to all stakeholders, especially the leading stakeholder, which is the National Road Safety Authority. I have been attending programs that they've been organizing. I attended one, and I had GPRTU, the unions coming up with a very good, shall I say, proposals and steps that they have taken. Okay, which was an excellent one, and it was spearheaded by the National Road Safety Authority. So that alone has brought the commercial drivers or commercial vehicles accident rates lower than that of the private. For the private, You and I are involved in this, and therefore many of us do not even care when they are driving. Okay, this morning, for instance, I on the Spintex Road where I live, I saw someone driving at top speed in the middle of the road, and then I think he was just avoiding lateness. And if you are late, you are late. Just like my brother said, I mean, it's much better to start very early than, being a recalcitrant driver by driving in the middle of the road like this. Now, such a person, you stop him, and unfortunately, he calls somebody in the police who is on higher, who has that higher rank, and then they will talk to this little officer and say, look, leave him, let him go, and so on. And so we are fond of this. That's the private drivers. And we are rather recalcitrant. We don't really care. Majority of us don't care. We drive anyhow. We don't care. There's this issue of tinted glasses. You look at majority of vehicles now, they've all gone to tint their glasses, but they've forgotten there's a law. And in the evening, you sit in that vehicle, you can't even see outside. And I've been wondering why the tint and so on. So we are not scared of the laws. That's I'm talking about the private vehicle owners who are the main culprits now in road crashes. We don't care. We are not our brother's keeper. We are always in a hurry. And I think the police or the enforcement agencies must have this hard work to do by checking on us. And therefore, nobody wants that. We all want to see everybody arriving alive in one piece, not in pieces, because our family needs us, our companies need us. And therefore, we just have to be one in reducing road crashes to a minimum figure. That is what I feel.
When you look at the data again, Mr. Gabra, you would also notice, like we've celebrated, that whether it's the grand total or commercial, private vehicles, even motorbikes, if I'm not mistaken, all the metrics seem to have gone lower year on year, 2022 to 2023. You would look at a grand total figure in 2022 of 14,960, in 2023, 14,135. Then you would look at the different segments from commercial to private and all of that. Those vehicles, 8,645 in 2022, 8,084 in 2023. I mean, it goes on, but for practically every metric, before we get to the others from the regions, it appears there is a downturn. My question then is, how can we maintain this? How can we maintain this moving forward? How can we bring to bear even more, Mr. Gabra?
Thank you so much. We need to continue with what we are doing at the moment. That is all stakeholders. We need to improve on what we did in 2023 and then continue with a lot more of education, continue with meeting the stakeholders. I still encourage the National Road Safety Authority to continue with the major drive and then increase the number of meetings, not even every quarter, if it is monthly. Everybody must bring his report. I'm talking about every stakeholder, including the GPRTUs, the Protea, all the unions. For them, it should be like a homework. How many accidents have you recorded? That is the unions. And then what have you done? I believe in giving us that homework, and we should continue. And I also praise multimedia. Please don't go away from road safety. Let us continue, because in Ghana, 99% of goods and services are still transported by road, and to continue forever till Ghana is so much developed that we will rely on air, sea, and train, the rail, and so on. But for now, once we are using the road as our major transport system in Ghana, we need to still continue with education. Education is the focus. If you don't talk to the African driver, he will go back to where he was. You become still as naughty and say, oh, the police is not there, let me do my own thing. It is to do with also speed, where National Road Safety Authority needs a lot of support financially, okay, to bring in the right gadgets, because if you look at the nature of accidents that we have in this country, it is to do with speed, and then if it is deaths, it is speed. And then if we have the right equipment to control speed, to arrest, and so on, I believe that our figure will drop by maybe about 15 to 20% in the coming year, end of 2024.
Let us now get into the figures when it comes to Christmas, and I just want us to take a look at some of what was brought to bear. Again, some positives that we chalked there, apart from some specific areas. You would look at Christmas 2023, Christmas and the New Year in 2023. You look at the number of cases reported between the 24th to from the 24th to the 26th of December and the 31st to the 1st of January. So the 31st of December 2023 to the 1st of January 2024. You would notice that in 2023, we recorded 236 cases of road crashes. In 2022, there were 203 of those recorded. So the change there, 16.26%. And that's the only, should I say, anomaly, because then you get to the vehicles involved, 417 in 2022. There's also 356 in 2020. In 2023, 417. In 2022, 356. But then right from where persons killed are involved moving, the dynamics changed. The persons killed in 2023, 37. Those in 2022, 47. Persons injured, 247 in 2023. Those in 2022, 296. And then pedestrian knockdowns, 50. Marginal difference. 50 in 2023. In 2022, 51. You would notice that while the first two metrics, cases reported and vehicles involved, actually increased in 2023, when it comes to the persons killed, persons injured, pedestrian knockdowns, there are fewer numbers in 2023. I'll come to you, Mr. Wuaku, on this. What is your reading on this? What do you think caused it? Was it because of the visibility?
It all has to do with speed, as Mr. Cecil Labra said. It all has to do with speed. The higher the speed, the severer the consequences, and the lower the speed, the better the manage the casualties. So I will attribute it to maybe lower speeds. If we are having more crashes, but at lower speed, then the severity of the casualties will be lower, and that's what I would say that have accounted for this. We have not really sat down to analyze, to go into the detail to find out exactly what happened, but off the top of my head, speed is at the bottom of what the severity of crashes. The higher the speed, the more severe the casualties, and the more people that may die. And the lower the speed, the lower the casualties, and the less people that will die.
Something else that is of interest to me, and I'll run these two by Mr. Gabra as well. You would notice that when it comes to the fatalities, distribution of the fatalities, 19% are female, 7. But then when you look at the fatalities when it comes to men, 30 of them are male, 81%. Some suggest that men are more aggressive drivers than women. Is that something that, I know elsewhere there is some research on that. Is that something the NRSA, since you are Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation, you are looking at, you've taken stock of, and maybe you are addressing? Is that something on your table? Mr.
Ben. Okay, so I thought you were asking...
No, I was asking that of Mr. Wuaku because he is Director of Research. I want him to address that before I come to you, Mr. Gabra, on the same two questions. Mr. Wuaku.
Yes, and we are aware that, in fact, the debate over whether men and or women are better drivers, or whether men are more aggressive than rest. It's not. We cannot say it's very conclusive. It's a debate that is going on. Studies have shown that accident rates with men are higher, with men having more fatalities than women. In fact, if we take the total number of fatalities in Ghana, 80% or about 80% involve men, and about 20% involve women. It has been the situation or the pattern over the past decades. That's how the situation is. There are various.
But there must be something. There must be something accounting for that.
Yes, that's what I'm coming to. Now we are aware that naturally men are more aggressive. So even on the road, they are more aggressive. They are aggressive drivers than women. Women are very cautious when they are driving. If you meet a woman at a junction and is trying to enter the major road, you've seen a lot of men even blowing horn on them. They want to calculate and make sure that before they enter, it is safe for them to do so. But for men, we are risk takers. Our appetite for risk is higher. And therefore, you see a lot of, as Mr. Gabriel was saying this morning, I'm sure the driver that he saw driving in the middle of the road was a man. Yeah, so men are more risk takers. Women are more cautious. Now, if, for example, a family is going to travel from Accra to Kumasi, a husband, a wife, the children, who is more likely to drive? Is the husband. So men do more drive, or they drive on the highways more than women. So we definitely have more men being exposed to crashes on the highways. And then also, women, as I said earlier, they are very adaptive to road environments. Women are naturally like that. They are more adaptive. When a woman is driving and meets a traffic, he stays in that traffic. But a man meets a traffic, what's the next thing he does? He tries to divert. So women are more careful, men are more aggressive. So some of these things all account for the fact that there are more men being involved in fatalities than women. But we cannot say that these two general. If we go into details, there are some women that are very aggressive as well. And we have also male drivers who are very, very cautious, like me, myself. So we cannot say that for blanket, women or men are more aggressive, but we still have some men that are very careful drivers. So all these things depend on the skill. If a driver is skillful and you know what you need to do, you are responsible. If you find yourself in the road environment, you are only supposed to do what is right and ensure that your safety is protected. And in Ghana, we don't really have a study that shows whether the men are better drivers or whether women are better drivers. So we need to do an analysis. For example, if we take 100 drivers and 100 crashes of men, and then take another 100 crashes of females, where do we see the fatality figures or the fatality rates? That is what we need to do. We have not yet done that. But as at now, if we take the fatalities that are occurring on our roads, there are more men that are being killed on our roads than females. And that means that breadwinners are being lost more than we expect. That also means that more widows are being produced. And therefore, this is an opportunity I want to use to call on women and women organizations to come on board and support the work of the National Road Safety Authority. Because at the end of the day, it is the women that bear the brunt of more men dying on our roads. Thank you.
A final point. So you say there's no research on this, especially in respect of the fatalities and how many men, how many women, if you picked 100 each. Is that something you likely will do moving forward?
Yes, in fact, it's something that I have decided to do as I have assumed the role of the Director for Research and Monitoring Evaluation. In fact, women in driving is an area that we need to now move into. Generally, even if in the United States, for example, insurance premiums for men are higher than that for women because men are, the statistics shows that more men are involved in crashes than women. And if that's the case, then I think that even the more women that we even have, if you are a staff, the more women drivers that we have, the more women drivers that we have in our even commercial sector, then the safer our journeys will be, because we know women are more careful. So it's an area that National Road Safety Authority is trying to move into. And before we can do any or design any strategy, any approach to improve this, we need data. And it's an area that we need to study into and find out what we can find, and then use that one to inform the policies and the strategies that we design later to address the situation.
Let me come to you now, Mr. Gabra. So 2 questions. One, the accident rate and, of course, the fatality rate 2023 versus 2022 and the differences we see, whether there are any surprises in there. Of course, like I said, I saw a lot of the police visibility teams in different stretches of town. That is one. Then 2, this whole bit about the distribution of fatalities by sex. A paltry, well, life is life, so maybe I shouldn't say a paltry, but 7 or 19% fatalities for women, but it's a whopping figure when it comes to the men. 81%, that is accounting for about 30 men during the Yuletide and the New Year. What are your quick reflections on these 2 points, and what do you think accounts for those?
Last, which sounds quite interesting, with Daniel trying to explain the women versus the men. However, I will continuously say that, yes, women drive better than men because of the training programs that we organize. For now, we are doing truck driving, training very experienced drivers to drive the truck. And I'm talking about a long vehicle. Believe in me that the women are doing very well. They are very cautious. And for me, I know when I sit in a woman's car, I am rather safer than a man's car, right? We should continue to do the research. And Danny, I will challenge you to do the research. And I know for sure that the women will win. Of course, when you speak to them, they'll tell you that, but I've been carrying you for 9 months, and therefore I should be much more careful. We are just the producers, give the sperm, and then the woman carries it. It's the woman that suffers. And therefore, if she is driving, she's much more careful on the road than we, the men, okay? A woman will not, and this is from my little training research, that a woman will not tailgate. A man will tailgate. That is close, driving closely to each other. A man is always, most men are always much more aggressive. Of course, we have women who are also quite aggressive in driving. But for example, I'll give you another example that I'm a Catholic. I had to organize Metro Mass buses about 3 years ago to Kodiabe for us to have a retreat program at the retreat center. I got to my parish very early morning, and then I saw ladies around. I said, "Where are the drivers of the buses?" And then they smiled. They said, "We are driving." And I said, "Wow, okay." So I sat in front of the first bus as a transport consultant, and then believe in me that, look, this lady driver was so perfect. I couldn't say a word during the journey, that is to Kodiabe and back, and all the bus drivers were following. So when I came back, I had a little party for them, and I said, "Wow, let's take pictures." Women are driving very well than men. I should tell you the truth. So, Danny, I'm charging you. Let's employ many more women than men, and then our accident statistics for 2024 will be on a decrease. Now to the issue of accidents that were lower in December. Am I right? Right. They were because When 24th, I had a shock of my life when I hit the ring road. I saw almost about 200 motorbikers from the police. And this was in the evening, okay? Around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they were in a convoy, very long convoy, and I had to find out where they were going. And they were distributing them at various places, okay, so that they will do, so that they will be checking on us. And then, so far as they were even visible. And you could see their strobe lights, that is the red and blue. That also reminds me, there are other commercial vehicles and other individuals using the strobe light for the police. And the police, if they are listening, they should mount an attack and then remove those strobe lights. The red and yellow belongs to the police, okay? Right, we'll have to do an education on it one of these days. So it was a long queue, and they did all these distributions, and then all over the city, you would see the strobe lights on. And as soon as you turn to, let's say, Laboni Junction, and then you see the strobe lights, nobody should tell you that, hey, Jack, be very careful because police is very well, everywhere else in the city. And this alone was a deterrent to recalcitrant drivers, to drunken drivers, to know that, hey, don't go to a party and booze. If you want to booze, stay in your house, booze, and then sleep. Get your own hangover, and then the following morning, if you have to solve it, you solve it. So stakeholders has been the trick to reduce the road crashes of 2023. And I have said it several times that, hey, more grease to all of us, starting from National Road Safety Authority. And no, Daniel hasn't slept. Daniel hasn't slept at all. I mean, during those festivities, I mean, I know, together with David Adonting, engineer, and all the team of all those young guys, I'll say, well done to you. You've done very well. And then to the Ghana police, to the stakeholders, all the stakeholders, we have all done well. We must continue. We must not stop it from here at all. It should be a continuous process in reducing road crashes. And we should also look at punitive measures for such recalcitrant drivers who continue to flout the road regulations. If we deal with them, I am very sure that we will get to figures that will be not alarming, but maybe 50 accidents occurred in 2024. Believe in me, it can happen.
Let me read this message from Raymond Abiu. It says, Mr. Akakpo, one of the biggest problems on our roads is the fact that we don't have enough road signs or warning signs. You're coming to a curve and there's no warning sign to tell you to reduce your speed. No proper road markings. These are some of the contributory factors to the fatalities we see on our roads. I want you gentlemen to pick that and also respond together with this as we get ready to wind up on this conversation. You would notice that per the trend of deaths over the Yuletide, I should say, you would notice the Ashanti region overtook the Greater Accra region, 15 fatalities to 9. But there were regions that recorded nothing, and I feel we should commend them. Upper West, 0. Savannah, 0. Northeast, 0. Northern, 0. Oti, nothing. It's Upper East as well, nothing. So the entire northern belt, if you want to add the Oti stretch, which Dambai and the rest, nothing. Bono and Ahafu regions, nothing as well. Bono East recorded 1, Western 1, Volta 2, Eastern 2, Western 2, Central 4. So maybe you can say the highest are Central, Greater Accra, and Ashanti. And I feel that is worth commending. I don't know whether you have any thoughts on what Raymond Abiu, the message he sent about no proper road markings before we move on. Mr. Wuaku, do you have any reactions on that?
Yes, it's just unfortunate that at certain sections of the road network, we lack some of these furniture and safety things that will make our driving more safe. I think the road agencies, within the constraints that they are operating, are doing whatever they can to ensure that safety furniture is provided or safety features are provided on all road networks in the country to ensure our safe our safe use. However, if you are driving in an environment where it's difficult to even navigate, as a responsible driver, you need to be more careful. You need to be extra careful, because the safety features are not there to guide you. That is where you even have to trigger off your safety consciousness that, oh, the road is not safe, and therefore I must do something to protect myself. I'm not going to brief for the road agencies for not providing this, but as I said, personal responsibility. It behoves on you to do everything possible, and we have the ability, we have the power within ourselves to protect ourselves in any road environment. If the road is infested with potholes, what do? Do we drive through them? We don't. We take our time to go through the potholes, dodge them, and make sure that we arrive safely.
Okay.
And sometimes when we even have the very good roads, what do? Rather abuse it. Yes. So I always say that if the road environment is not conducive, if it is challenging, it is now your responsibility to provide safety for us, to ensure that you do everything possible to protect yourself first and protect other road users. Just as Mr. Gabra said, let's be each other's keeper. Yeah, thank you.
All right. My final question to you both, brief comments, and then it's a wrap. I'll start with you, Cecil Gabra. Something else, sometimes you interact with the road users, whether private or commercial, and they tell you fuel prices are high. Now there is the vehicle income tax if you own a vehicle that is running Uber, Yango, Bolt, and all of those in between. And then there is the emissions levy. So in simple terms, you remember Lord Kenya's song from back then, Driver Susuko Nkunim Abotrewie Nkunimdie. I'm sure both of you remember that song. Patience results in victory, right? Some will tell you that no, now with fuel prices, with the taxes, with the levies, listen, I see a contem, near Bantam. So they are trying to cut all kinds of corners. How can we deal with that? That's my final bit to you. I'll start with you, Cecil.
Well, I think we should just go by the song, okay? Because whatever it is, we are carrying lives, and therefore we must all arrive in one piece and not in pieces. Like we all say, it is really important to think about the people you carry than the money that you would have in your pocket. Remember that when you keep on having money, and then you kill any human being, it's the same money that you need for the funeral. And then funerals are expensive. So let's just go easy. Let's leave the government to do its own thing, taxes and so on. And then for us, we will drive cautiously, and then we will save people's lives than getting angry on a road. If you get that anger, then anger doesn't go with driving. Anybody who is angry cannot operate any equipment such as the vehicle that you drive. Let's go easy. Things are tough. We all understand it. But then what can we do? Are you going to hang yourself? No, we are not going to do that. We'll still be in the train, and then we believe one day, things will look better for all of us. Let's be just patient. And patience, of course, pays a lot than we becoming angry. If you are angry, stay home, don't drive.
Right.
Don't bring on our roads.
Cecil, thank you very much. Final words, Mr. Wuaku.
Yes, in addition to the patience that Mr. Gabra is talking about, I think the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. We need more education. We need National Road Safety Authority, the stakeholders. We need to do a lot of education. In fact, even the road agencies need to do education on the philosophies behind the construction of the design of their roads. So the education is not only coming from the National Road Safety Authority, but from all the stakeholders. Let's go. And then the police must step up their enforcement. In fact, they are helping a lot. We must give credit to the police for what they have been doing for the past years. And they must take it up and then move it forward. And all of us must join the wagon, the train in delivering safety on our roads. Thank you very much.
Daniel, that's one major thing, which is the roads itself. I mean, if we have good roads, that also will go a long way. The potholes on the road, they are no more potholes. They are manholes destroying vehicles, so drivers will also talk. Let us have good roads in this country. Let us fix the right road signs in this country, and then we'll have that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecil Ebo Gabra, CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics, and then Mr. Daniel Wuaku, Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the National Road Safety Authority. Both of them joined us for that conversation. We're making some strides, but we can't get our eyes off the ball. Now, we've had this conversation. It's done and dusted. We're going to take a bit of a breather. When we return, we're going to be hosting the administrator of the GET Fund, Dr. Richard Ampofu-Buedu. It's a conversation on the GET Fund, the scholarships they have on board, and how you can benefit from them, whether you're an undergraduate or a graduate. That conversation coming up next on the AM Show. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM Show. Let's focus on education now. We all know about the GET Fund, but for those who may not have a proper scope of what it does, what is the GET Fund? What is it per law supposed to do? And what are the latest bits when it comes to the scholarships available and who can benefit and what must be done? Well, to answer all of those questions and more, we've put together this interview, this conversation, and we have joining us the administrator of the GET Fund, Dr. Richard Ampofu-Buedu. He joins us in the studio. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
Right. So I think to set the tone for the conversation, especially for those who may have, for one reason or another, lost track of what the GET Fund is supposed to do. What is the GET Fund? What is it supposed to do?
Thank you. I'll first of all would like to say Afishiapa to your cherished viewers and then listeners. The GET Fund is a short form of Ghana Education Trust Fund. It's been in existence for over more than 20 years. It was set up in the year 2000, Act 581 of 2000, Act of Parliament. It was during the regime of the President Rawlings that it was set up, but actually its operationalization was done in August 2001 by the then President Kufuor. So you see that even if you're looking at GET Fund in its growth period, you can see that GET Fund is in its youthful age. The Act sets the fund where originally, that is traditionally, it was a 2.5% VAT, but it's been moved recently to 2.5 straight levy. The main objective is providing supplementary funding for all the levels of education, that is tertiary, secondary, and then primary. And then it also supports the ministry and its agencies in their activity.
Right.
It has a 17-member board of trustee, and this money collected is distributed through Parliament with what they call the distribution formula.
Right.
So GET Fund has an oversight responsibility from Parliament in terms of its operation, in terms of disbursement of its financial operation. I will say that historically, about 70% of GET Fund, the money, the accruals that come to GET Fund, is used for infrastructure. There are others too, but scholarship has...
What percentage did you say? 90%?
70%.
70%.
Normally goes to infrastructure,
okay,
development. 5% goes to scholarship. But the history of scholarship started about 14 years ago. Get Fund created a niche for itself where in the Act it's supposed to give supplementary funding to Scholarship Secretariat for basic, for local scholarship. And then that point in time, there used to be the Northern Scholarship Scheme at the secondary level. So that too, they did that for them. But there was something that was missing in the scholarship that they saw that the Scholarship Secretariat were doing. In that respect, it was the general scholarship that every people, the Ghanaian know that you apply to the Scholarship Secretariat, they give you a scholarship for you to move through the undergraduate, postgraduate courses. But foreign scholarship was something that was missing. Right. So I would like to give the 4 categories of scholarship and sponsorship that Get Fund does. That's what the Get Fund saw as a loophole, and from 14 years to now, they've been sponsoring. So the first one is in the Act, they're supposed to give funding for faculty development through GTEC. In the Act, it is NCT, which is now GTEC. GTEC is Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. So they provide money for them, and brilliant students and those that are in the faculty, like the TAs, they give them a scholarship, both local and foreign. So that's the first type of scholarship that Get Fund does. The second one is, like I said, the general one that we know. The third one was capacity building. For the capacity building, we find out that, let me give an example, like the police service, where there is a need to train some of them in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of criminology, and Get Fund help
step in and do that.
In the police, we do that in the judicial service. We've funded people in that organization, and they've also gone out to learn. And the medical, that is in the medical field too, we've also helped people to do that. And then there's the fourth one, which is sponsorship, where we do short courses, like 2 weeks. You can sponsor people to go and do a 2-week course and then come back. And then if you look at Prempeh College and then Mamfi Girls, through Get Fund, they go sponsorship to go outside the country. They did the World Robotics, and luckily for us, all of them won. So these are the 4 classes of sponsorship and scholarship that we do.
Interesting bit. I have so many questions on my mind for you, but especially as you're focusing on the scholarships, later we'll talk about infrastructure, right? The other arm. The Scholarship Secretariat, gets some supplementary funding from you, right? And I was a beneficiary at a point. I traveled to Cuba on a scholarship from the University of Ghana because I was within a certain group in there. There has been a lot of talk about some of those scholarships. Do you have any connection with how those are disbursed, or that is purely the work of the Scholarship Secretariat?
That is purely the work of Scholarship Secretariat. We just give them lump sum of money for support, because it's not, we are not the agency that funds Scholarship Secretariat, but we give them supplementary funding.
Right. All right. I'll come back to other matters later. So walk us through, in a year like this, I know there will be undergraduates who would want to benefit from your different scholarship schemes, graduates as well. Walk us through the program categories that we are looking at for these people who may want to benefit from scholarships. Later, I'll leave some stuff for the back burner, but let's focus on the scholarships.
Okay, so for now, our online portal has been opened. That is, one, you must be a Ghanaian. Okay. So the qualification, you must be a Ghanaian of sound mind. 2, you should have gotten admission at the tertiary level. 3, the tertiary level that you are applying for should have accreditation by GTech.
Okay.
And then the 4th one is that you have to apply. Because if you don't apply, there's been instances that people come in late during the time and then they want sponsorship from us. They write to us. Even some of the universities write directly to us on students that are in their faculty and they think that they
require it. Unfortunately, they hadn't applied.
If you don't apply, then there is no way that we can help you. So the 4th one is very important.
I think it may even be the most important bit, because I've heard those stories time and again. Oh, but this person qualifies, but the person didn't apply. And is yours a rolling deadline or it's a hard deadline? Once it's shut for that academic year?
Yes, exactly. So for this year, we started mid of December, and we're hoping that...
You mean December 2023?
Yeah, December, and by July 31st. Sorry, January 31st.
It's shut.
Yeah, it is shut. This, there is, initially, people were applying with hard copies and all those, and you can see how the whole thing was. And a lot of people come to the fund, and even on the deadline, you can't even drive through get fund because you see a lot of students. And now an online portal has been opened. At the end of it, I'll give you the numbers and then the link that you have to go through it. So we did this, and it has benefited us a lot in terms of the application and controlling, and then even the scholarship management.
I see. Now we'll get to the other bits, but the program categories. Yes, there are graduate and undergraduate. Are there any specific programs you target, or is it free for all? No matter what you're doing, once your institution has the accreditation, once there's GTech on board and all of that, they can apply. What is the stratification?
So it is for all, provided it is accredited by GTech. So we loaded the courses that were accredited by GTech onto our portal.
Okay.
So those are the ones that we think that we have to sponsor, those that are accredited.
So we can safely say that all the public universities, I don't know about the technical universities yet, I'm not bringing them in, but all the mainstay universities, the 5+ of them, all have GTech accreditation. And so all their courses, and I'm asking this intentionally because I know that there are some courses, some programs that are still, while they are being run by even some of the major universities, public universities, they are still having issues with accreditation of those courses. That is why I'm posing this question, so that people like that don't end up applying and then later, oh, your course is not accredited and all that. So
okay, so if I should bring clarity to that question, I said that those courses that have been accredited by GTech, so we picked it from GTech. It was a collaboration between GetFund and GTech. Okay. And on the portal, you will find those courses in there. So that is it. And then let me also clarify this point too. It is for both private schools and public school. It is not 5 universities. Now,
so I only cited those because at least those I can vouch for and say that for GTech, as for the private, you don't know which ones, and I can't mention names. That's why I only use them as an example.
So even the schools have been loaded onto the portal. So when you go in, you'll find your school. If it is accredited, you'll find your school, and then you just take it, and then the courses that you are doing. So for instance, if you take a private university, and then you go onto the portal, it will show you the courses in your school that have been accredited, so that you can just take it and then move on. The system is so free. It is cumbersome We intentionally did that.
The system is cumbersome.
No, it is not cumbersome, but there are a lot of questions for you to answer.
Okay.
But it is very simple. It is very simple, but it is loaded, if I should put it right.
Why is that?
No, it is intentional. There are some of the questions that are repetitive. We did it for a reason.
Okay. What reason?
So leave that to us.
But it's interesting to find out. I mean, you're here having the conversation on your platform, the questions, and how some of them are intentionally repetitive. Why is that?
Let me just say this. Your credibility is also something that we just want to tease out. So some of the questions we intentionally we can just paraphrase it in another way to see if you're going to answer it.
So the person answers a similar question with A answer, and the next time similar question with B answer. Then you start seeing discrepancies, and you're asking yourself whether this person is genuine, right? You're sifting through.
Yeah, those are some of it. Because we are not getting a chance to interview the students. So by your correspondence, we're able to sift something out of that.
All right. Thanks for those answers. I deliberately posed a question about those courses and accreditation, and you've answered. So basically, if you're applying, you go on the website, you must ensure that you are checking for both your institution and then the program that you're looking for. Once both are there, you have the green light. You can go ahead, right? Yes. Okay. Now let's look at, beyond this, what else? So the process is purely online?
Yes, it's
purely online. Yes. Okay, no submission of hardcore documents. No. So that there are no Goro boys in the system, right?
That is it. And make sure that you are minimizing the tendency of somebody even coming. So if you come to get fund and it's of scholarship and you want to see the administrator, you won't.
I see.
You'll not be allowed.
But how do you know? Yeah. Someone may come with a different reason, and all of a sudden they are in your office and they are talking about, and the scholarships and this and that. What do you do then? Do you call security to walk them out?
I will politely let you go down and follow the rules.
I see. There's also talk from time to time, before I get back to Goroism and the Goro boys, there's also talk from time to time that regardless of which political party is in power, there will always be some arm twisting, some influencing when it comes to get fund and scholarships. How true is it?
You see, I always sit here. I think this is about the fourth time from last week to this week that they are asking.
It is because it is something that we all, come face to face with.
It's based on perception.
Based on perception?
Yeah, based on perception. And last year, November, we did a stakeholders meeting. I think it was an interview some time past that at one of the radio stations, the person said that, hey, it looks like get fund. People fear get fund, and it looks like it's something like a cult or something. And they were even saying that, your position, the administrator, people fear you. And I said, I'm a simple man. I operate an open door window. When you come to my office, I can laugh with you. So that myth has to change. In our stakeholders meeting that we had in November, that is the reason why we've even decided that every year we're going to open up, let people know what we've done for the past year. We review what we want to do the following year, and then people criticize and then give us constructive ideas, and then we move on. That has shaping the GET Fund till date. And for 2019, for instance, and I always want to use this as an example, all students that applied on our portal, medical students, pharmaceutical students, nurses, and then health and allied courses. All of them we give scholarships to.
All of those that apply? All of them?
Yes, wholesale awarded to them. Those were the times.
Why was that?
It was the committee. We have a committee that does the selection. And I'm not even part of that committee. So they decided that, okay, for this year, this is what we're going to do. But every year they change their mode of how the award will be. I can tell you in 2023, last year, what happened was all the students that got 4 A's and above, and all ladies, not all the students, all gents that got 4 A's and above, and all ladies that got 3 A's and above, they were awarded sponsorship. So if this is what is happening there, does it presupposes that there is a party color being shown in there? If in 2019, all pharmacy students, all medical students, and then health and allied,
But like you said, the committee sits and decides year on year what to do. This is just a grouping, okay? Those in the medical sphere. How about the others? And over the years, there have been claims. There's this saying that there is no smoke without fire. And even when you come to the scholarship secretariat, which is, I can call it in a way, an extension, an appendage of what you do. I benefited from there when things were pretty rigorous. It was a system. There was nothing you could do. Unless you were in a certain bracket, you wouldn't benefit. That was how I ended up in Cuba for a year. But we've also seen the saga of, even if I may stretch it a bit, to the scholarship secretariat, where certain officials in government, certain people affiliated to government have benefited in the past, in the present. You know them. I don't need to mention names. And by extension, the Get Fund's own scholarship program or bursary. Would you say this is not founded, not grounded in some truth?
I'm giving you what has happened in there. And you see,
Doc, are there never political influences to get you to award X person a scholarship versus Y person? Are you saying that in your capacity as administrator of the Get Fund, how long has it been now?
7 years.
7 years. You have never encountered any political influencing to get you to award a scholarship. Is that what you're saying?
It will come. But you see...
So it comes?
No, let me tell you.
No, I'm asking, has it come?
It will come. Let me be frank to you. It will come. But the ability for you, in order not to fall into that trap, is for you to bring up something that will forestall those coming. So, for instance, this online portal, if not for the online portal, there is a possibility of somebody coming and then saying that, the system is going on, so why don't you do this and that and that? So the online portal, it's something that is curtailing those processes or those influence for it to come. Let's go back. In the year 2019, there was this an audit that leaked out from the Get Fund. And actually, that auditing was something that when I came to the office, because of the perception that we had, I said that, okay, I wrote through the minister, let the audit service come and then audit Get Fund, so that if there are some of the things that they are not doing right, we can learn from it and then do it better. So it was a paid-for audit. But the moment they went through it and then saw the whole thing and a lot of all that, we saw that it was on the air. And I was even called to the, I'm saying that I'm the first person that was called to the special prosecutor. And what happened afterwards? It was then later on that they got to know that even this was something that it was...
You had called for.
I had called for. And based on the outcome, we've been able to streamline Get Fund. And that is why, for now, I'm here, even talking about how students can go through the system and then get sponsorship from Get Fund. Our online portal is also being what? We're now communicating and doing a PR work for even students to apply through our portal. So that is it. So it is, you put systems into place that will check some of these things.
Yes, but no system is foolproof. Even in the most advanced democracies, the systems sometimes, I mean, famously, who would have thought, this is a bit of a wide example, but who would have thought that President Trump would, in a place like the United States, would call for his supporters to invade the Capitol and suggest that the election had been rigged in a democracy like the United States. Who would have thought, right? So are you saying, I mean, do you still get those pressures coming on you? Let's say within the last window, 2023, or even this current window, has there been pressure from any quarters on you? I don't need you to mention names. Does that pressure still come?
See, what I'm trying to achieve is for that perception. You said it, that is nothing that is 100% proof. So if I can get the perception is now being eroded, and then they trust the system, and they know that at least if you apply and you don't have somebody to just follow you up or something, you're going to get it. That's what I'm trying to achieve.
And I salute you.
I cannot get 100%, but that is it. That is
I mean, if you've moved from even 65% or 50% to 80% plus, it's quite an appreciation. And of course, you want to work on the public sentiment. But still, I'll go back to that question.
Yeah.
Are people still pressuring you?
It will definitely come.
All the time?
It will definitely come. Like I'm saying, last year, I sat down and then people came. And I told them, no, we've closed the portal. And once we've closed the portal and the person didn't apply, there is no way that the person can get admission. I liken it to you going to University of Ghana. For instance, you go to University of Ghana and you want application. You want an application outside the application deadline, and you want your student to go and then have education at University of Ghana. Once the system is over, you can't. And that is how it is. So you try and put measures and then streamline your processes that will make those systems work. That is it.
Let's talk about the guruism, guru boys and girls and all of that. From time to time, you still hear talk of that. Are they still in the system? Have you completely got rid of them?
I don't have that guruism. Is not something that is pertaining at GetFund. I can talk for GetFund. If it is GetFund, you can open the lines and then ask them. I did this at the stakeholders meeting. Somebody came and then said that no, it is not true. He came and then presented something that showed that somebody has been given scholarship through the GetFund and maybe A, B, C, and D. Lo and behold, it turned out that for 3 years, foreign scholarship, we haven't done it. And what he was holding was it a GetFund? No, it wasn't a GetFund letter here. But he was saying that it is GetFund, it is GetFund. And then we even zoom it on our, and when I got it, it was a different thing. You see, people don't know the difference between GetFund and then the others. They mix them. And it came, I even threw a challenge that if somebody has done that in the past, they should come out. I don't think that it is something that is happening at GetFund. And you can, the feedback that we are getting is positive. I can tell you, when you go outside the country, the way that we've managed our funding of students are paid on time, their stipend goes on time, and now most of the universities outside Ghana are now coming to GetFund. They fly all the way to GetFund, and then they come and sit down with us. There are some of the schools that tell us that if we give them 5 students, they are going to give us 2 out of them free tuition. And then there are others that are coming out with new one because they've gotten confidence in the system. And for instance, when we started with the online portal and then our payment and the monitoring aspect of it, currently our team will be in the Ashanti region. They've done the universities in Greater Accra, where they had a meeting with the registrar and the vice chancellors of the various universities. They've come to realize the way that Get Fund is exceptional when it comes to payment and all those things. And for now, you just getting a Get Fund award letter, getting the Get Fund award letter gives you the confidence to go and register, even if you haven't paid.
You spoke about stipends and all of that. We've interacted with a lot of Ghanaian students abroad who have had challenges, both from the Scholarship Secretariat, and I want to believe some of them were on Get Fund scholarships.
No.
How consistent have you been in terms of paying these stipends? How far back does it go?
I
can always have my team check. That's why I mentioned Scholarship Secretariat.
You can check 100 times and what you get out there. You come and then congratulate us.
How much do you give us stipends across the board?
It depends
on where the people are going, right?
Most of the time, I think it's $1,000 or so.
For what period of time?
For a month.
For a month.
So what we've decided is we're not doing the selective payment of fees and then the others. We write to the school and let them know our plan, that when the student is going, we give them a third of the stipend. In the month of February, latest by March, we give them their the second tranche of it, and the month of July, we finish it up with the July.
So the first tranche will be how much?
1/3.
1/3?
Yeah, 1/3
of how much? So every month they get
So
1,000.
if, supposing it's £12,000, $12,000, it depends on where the student is, but let's use 12,000. So the person gets the
3,000 every quarter.
Yeah, every quarter. That's how we've been doing, and we've run it over the years, and because of that, that's why I'm saying that the positive things are coming to the fund. You can check from past students and ask about our stipend payment.
How long has this been? How long has it been this consistent in terms of stipend payments from when you started?
Yeah.
From when you took over?
No, it wasn't, because it was. I'm saying that it was after the infrastructure audit.
Which was when?
In we did it in, I think the report came in 2019 also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since 2019, we've had that consistency.
Yeah. It was something that the first year, I didn't know how it was done, because when I came into office, just 3 months later, scholarship was done or something of that, so one of the scholars. So it just followed what was being done in there. But you have to be innovative and then think through things and then solve it. That's why we're made to our appointment and so on. So you have to, and there has been so many innovative things that we put into the fund, and for that reason, Get Fund is not the old Get Fund that people know.
Okay, I've gone through a bit of the applications portal. But I also saw here, when it came to the guidelines, this bit, and I just want to ask you about, for the benefit of those watching us, what the things are that could disqualify them. For example, I see here, you say, when signing up on the portal, ensure correct spelling of your names with the initial letter capitalized. I know there are some of these applications where some of these minute errors could cost you. Is the same with the Get Fund?
Yes. You see, for last year, for instance, about 96,000 students applied. And the system is said that the number of times that you go to the portal, when I sit on my laptop,
you can see?
I can see.
And monitor?
And yeah, the number of times. So if there is a controversy, I can tell you why you didn't get the application. You didn't supply this, you didn't supply that. And you see, you should know that. So like from what I was saying, 96, at the end, 47, after the first 15 by the system itself, 47 were seen to have completed and given the green light to move into the what I mean is that the 47 were successful, and then at the end, only 4,200 got the award letters when the committee sat. So this, you should know that in terms of percentage, even those that were successful, 10% got it. So you shouldn't make any error when you're trying to apply. So take note of those steps that we've listed. If you're supposed to do A, please do as the system is asking, requiring of you. I'm here to let them know that you can go back and then make corrections. So 31st December. So if you've made a mistake in there, you can
31st January.
Sorry, 31st January.
Right.
You can go back to the system and then make those corrections, because those things can take you out of the system. It is meticulous and you have to go through. Whatever they tell you to do it, you have to. Don't try and then beat the system, because the system will find you out. And I would like to also...
So leave nothing to chance.
Yeah, leave nothing to chance. I would like also people to know that it's not everybody that apply will get it. People think that by choice they have to get it. The award from the past has about 70% going to STEM program. That is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. 30% to
the arts?
Humanities, yeah, the arts. We are biased when it comes to gender. We try to, so even in the 70 or 30 classes, if there is, in terms of, like I said, whilst the gents were given 4 A's and above, we lowered it to 3 A's and above for the ladies. And then one thing that we're introducing this year is also on disability.
Okay.
So they will also be considered in terms of their challenges.
Whatever their challenges are, will be factored in.
Yeah, it will be factored in.
I see. And that definitely is something that warms my heart. I believe the UCC had its first visually impaired lecturer recently, and we're all happy about that. And in law class, I have sat there with visually impaired colleagues who have done excellently well.
Yeah.
Some of them, one graduated from the Ghana School of Law recently, another one had traveled abroad. These are, disability is not inability. Or incapacity.
We've sponsored disabled students in a foreign in the past. Yeah.
Let's talk about these scholarships. So for the undergraduate and the graduate, starting with the undergraduate, so you're targeting diploma, HND, degree holders. What else should we know for those who would opt to apply for these? What else should they know?
In terms of, there are some...
so I'm talking about the applications for 2023, 2024.
Yeah,
what should they...
A column that requires them to attach documents to it.
Okay.
This is something that is also very important. For instance, if the application is asking you that your nationality, you should show that you are a Ghanaian. There are some of them that add voter register as a proof of Ghanaian, their citizenship. At the first stage, because you've that requirement, you've met it, there will be an acknowledgement that you've gone through the process correctly.
But it's moving forward.
But when the system is sifting itself, purging itself, you find out that you'll be out, you'll be kicked out of the system.
So you accept the Ghana card?
Accept the Ghana card and then the passport as a form of identification, your proof of nationality. And there are some that, surprisingly, they apply, but they don't add their admission letter.
Okay.
Yeah. When they applied everything correct, but they don't know their application letter. So how would we, at the fund, know that you've gotten admission? So take note of that. And then you should apply personally.
You should apply yourself. But how are you going to be able to check? You're not going to be behind the computer when the person is applying.
You see, there was an incident that happened, and I always say this. There was a mother that did that for the son. And at a portion that you have to put your name, who is the applicant, the lady
put her name there.
The person got the award in the name of the mother, and all the other documents, the picture and everything was the son. So it came to light, and we had to cancel it.
Wow.
That is it. It is something that happened.
So a genuine mistake, but it was because the parent was... So even if you're going to do it for the person, it's guidance, just like the JHS to SHS applications,
Yes.
right? Guide, you can fill, but ensure that you're putting the right details in.
And then the other thing is the email that they use in communicating to us. That will be the same mode that we're going to write to them. Some create the email for this purpose. They forget about the password. So you generate it to them and they are not able to. You quite remember that I told you that about 600 students were picked and then they gave them that. At the end of it all, about 300 responded. We had to send emails to the rest. Did a text message, call them 2 times. Some of them responded, some of them never came back.
Wow. Okay. And so this also applies for the graduates programs, right? It's practically the same thing. So pay attention to detail, ensure you're feeding in the right information, ensure you're applying yourself. If someone is applying for you, hopefully the person has all the required details, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me bring in this interesting question before you cap it off with your final thoughts and whatever else in terms of what work you're doing, the GET Fund. There's also this interesting bit about, you mentioned infrastructure when you started the conversation. I'm going to take you back to that. Infrastructure in our universities, public institutions. You take the University of Ghana, for example. When I was there, I mean, it's been a rolling problem. Is it the case that the GET Fund has somehow been collateralized, for which reason you are unable to help these institutions of higher learning put up these structures? You know that even today, those problems are still happening. The last time there was talk about UG and increased rates for accommodation facilities, KNUST and all of that. What role do you play in the midst of all that?
This is a question that I will need about 2 hours.
2 hours, eh? It's a question for the gods, eh?
No, it's not a question for the gods. But you see, infrastructure presentation takes a whole lot. It takes a whole lot of dynamics. And even the universities, if I come and tell you how projects in the universities have been run over the years, you will understand that system. So I promise that this year I will come for infrastructure talk, and then you will get to know how GET Fund has been abused over the years, even though they are the supporting agency that helps tertiary education and then the others. So I'll find time and then talk about that.
No, but we want something on.
Do you have time?
I can give you 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So if you take the tertiary sector, for instance, what happened in the past was that allocation is given to GTEC, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, and then they, by a distribution, give to the universities. So for instance, let's see if University of Ghana get 5 million. What happened in the past was they were involved in multiplicity of projects. So what happened is, in terms of procurement, they have 5 million. Instead of using that 5 million to do a single project and finish it in record time, they split it to about 3 projects. What that means is a contractor working on that project can only go to a certain amount, even if he has the capacity to complete it. For instance, if you split 5 million into 2 million, 2 million, 1 million on 3 projects, the contractor on 1 million can work up to a certificate of 1 million and then complete, that is for the year.
And it will come to a grinding halt.
It will come to a grinding halt. This has dragged over the years. And I have a presentation based on that. So what you find out is that multiplicity of projects has constituted to many of the projects.
But how are you contributing to regulating that so that you don't have these, you can complete projects?
That's why I said that it is a whole discussion on its own, because from
you can share with us how you are trying to solve the problem.
From 2017, the first thing was in the tertiary university, the board decided that no new project should be done in the tertiary sector. So we brought a whole
focus on old ones.
Old ones, for you to complete all the old ones. So that was the first step. And then we find out that, you see, the contractors doing it too are businessmen. So they work, and then when they see that the contract that they are doing doesn't compensate them economically, they just stop. You have to revise the rate for the contractor to go back, because if it is not economically viable, it means that the contractor cannot go. So it comes back to the GET fund, and then at first,
so for example, inflation. You have to take.
You see, the inflation aspect is catered for something they called there is something that.
So there's a mechanism in place.
There's a mechanism that compensates them. This is done by the Statistical Service, and then the Building and Roads Research Institute Index, that compensates them. But if the contract goes on for a longer year, that compensatory factor doesn't become economically viable.
Right.
So in the contract, that is what is in the contract.
Okay, so let me ask you now. It is clear that if we want to have that conversation, it will indeed be long.
Yes.
But I want to find out from you, how do we resolve it? How do we resolve it? And when is it possible?
There is a plan for it. We've already ruled that out.
Since when?
2 years
2019?
Yeah. Last year, because of our budget, we were not able to, but the previous year, we did that. What we are now saying is that a pool of money is allocated to to all the tertiary institutions, and each contractor now can work up to whatever capacity that he will do. So you pull from that pool. Do you get it? Allocation is taken from that pool so that it will benefit the contractors to work to their maximum capacity. And this is something that each year we try as much as possible to allocate bulk money, and it is not based on the allocation to the universities.
So what can the institutions also do in the interim to help you? What can they do?
That is it. So now, apart from they not awarding new projects, now the contractor who is on the project has been given, he doesn't have a ceiling to work up to.
Okay.
So he can work at any level and then come to the pool and then draw from the pool. Okay. So those that are actually serious in the construction business are the ones that will come and then pull from that.
So can you give us a year where you can say that if you remain at post, and if at least, whether you remain at post or not, the systems are in place. If we go like this, let's say by 20 something, this thing should be a problem of the past. So what would be your projection?
In 2 years' time.
In 2 years' time?
In 2 years' time, this year, and then in 2025, we're hoping that about 80% of ongoing projects in the tertiary sector will be completed.
And this problem will be a thing of the past?
It will be a thing of the past.
My final question to you, Doc. So I don't know with this scholarship system, whether you're factoring in child prodigies, among others. Recently, I heard, was it a 9-year-old or an 11-year-old getting admission to, is it Infantipim, I think. One of those, there are these child prodigies. Some are less than 16 and the rest. How do you factor them into this system? And some of them don't have Ghana cards. How does it work for such students?
If you don't prove that you are, no, you see, the question that you're asking, I think it's at the level of the secondary schools.
Yes, for those rolling over from secondary school. So the point is, if they are getting into SHS, let's say as a child prodigy, this one who is what 11, for example, he has done age maximum 14 and is applying for the next level and requires a scholarship and all of that. I was just situating it from there. What then happens? How can they apply? No Ghana card.
Why are you saying that no Ghana card? Because I know that at age.
It is not all of those who have been targeted who have it.
No, so if you don't have it, then
those who are less than 18,
you don't, because that's if you want to go to UK, we're doing foreign scholarship. For instance, you want to go to UK and you don't have a passport. How then do you come and tell us that you want to go to UK? So that is the condition.
No, so you're telling me that if someone has qualified from the SHS system, okay, for whatever reason, doesn't have a Ghana card, and you do know that apart from these age stratifications, there are some genuinely, for whatever reason, don't have the Ghana card, and they qualify, they cannot go through the process, assuming they don't have a passport, they cannot go through the process because they don't have this documentation.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yes. That is the...
Not even a parent can vouch for them on the back of their being Ghanaian?
Our system doesn't work for that.
So how do they prove they are Ghanaian to you?
So you have to, that is it.
Birth certificate?
You have to prove.
No, I'm asking you, how will they prove? What will you accept?
We accept the Ghana card and the passport as a proof of nationality.
And that's it?
And that's it.
So at that age, the person doesn't have a passport and the person has not yet acquired a Ghana card, you can't do anything for them.
Yes, that is what we've advertised.
I see.
But in terms of the person doesn't have the if the person is a needy student and that, we look at it. You have to apply through the system. There is consideration for that because in terms of, you see. Brilliant but needy students.
We have less than a minute to go,
yeah,
so
brilliant
but go
needy
ahead.
Students are those that we give through the general scholarship. But before I go, I would like to let people know the website that you can apply to.
Very quickly.
That is scholarship.getfund.gov.gh.
Scholarship.getfund.gov.gh. All right.
And if you have a question or you want help, we have scholarship teams@getfund.gov.gh.
Okay.
And we have these 3 numbers that you can call: 050-353-7176.
Repeat each number.
050-353-7176.
Okay.
And we have 050-160-1126. 050-160-1126.
Okay.
And 050-160-1127. You can call, and then if you need any help, we'll be able to assist you.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for coming. Thank you for joining us on the conversation. We've been having an interaction with Dr. Richard Ampofo-Buedu, the Get Fund Administrator. If you didn't know, now you know. Hopefully you've been informed. Up next on the AM show, we've also got AM Business, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. In today's episode, some cocoa bill holders have decided not to take part in government's cocoa bill exchange program, and they are asking COCOBOD to honor the payments before the close of the month of January. There's more in James Ashan's report now on the AM show.
2023, monies paid to investors who purchased cocoa bills on maturity were withdrawn from individual investors' accounts without their consent. COCOBOD issued the bill to raise funds. Many had bought the bills expecting to be paid back their monies with interest on Thursday, January 19, 2023. Reports from some fund managers indicated the monies were actually paid on Thursday, January 19, 2023, only to be reversed on Friday, January 20, 2023. The banks have pointed to a directive from the Bank of Ghana ordering them to unilaterally roll over the bonds without first seeking the consent of investors. Banks were under pressure from affected customers. Echikwam, a retiree, was one of the
affected customers. He expresses shock at the development since the money was rolled over without his consent.
I worked for 36 years. I started at GB Olivant and then went to Unilever. Then I went to Unilever in Zimbabwe. Then I came back to Guinness in Ghana, worked for a short time. Then as for the investments, one can say I've been investing for a while. Treasury bills, fixed deposits and all those things. And it's only recently that we took the cocoa bills. We've been saving all sorts of various things, depending on what is going right at a point in time. It was in, July 2022? That's when we started with them.
Barely a year or two.
Yes, barely. So this has been our latest venture, and we've been caught with our pants down.
6 months after the Ghana Cocoa Board launched a debt securities exchange program, under which it invited holders of its short-term debt securities or the cocoa bills to voluntarily offer to exchange their cocoa bills. Cocoa bills holders were asked to sign on to the exchange program, but Echikwam opted out.
As part of my retirement, I got a certain amount and I put it there. If I were in another place, and then they came and made another proposal to us, which was interesting. So we moved our funds there, and we were supposed to enjoy our benefit plus our initial capital in January 20. Yeah, that it was in 2001. 2023. Yeah, 2023. So we were waiting. Then we had some hints that something was up. So we wrote to them and said, look, sell our thing and give us back our investment. Okay. And they said they would try. So come the payment time, I saw that the money to our account in the morning. Before I could say Jack, it had been debited again. So we were rather surprised. And apparently this debt recovery program had been launched. So we didn't know what was going on. And in fact, up to today, we don't really know what's going on.
Not to cut you, but what are we talking about? Is it the cocoa bills?
Cocoa bills. Yes.
When it was being debited, were there any official communique to you customers and all that?
No, we didn't know of anything. In fact, something like this, we should have been written to, to inform us that this is the problem and therefore the investment is going to be tampered or whatever. But we didn't get any formal writing to. For example, our investment company should have told us that this was in the works, but they didn't tell us. Every now and then, we engage with them to find out what is going on, and they tell us they are talking to the guys. They will get back to us on if they hear anything positive. They will get back to us. But like I said, for us it was in January. It was in January that this whole thing happened, because on the 20th of January we were supposed to have received our investment and whatever dividends had come on it, but we didn't get anything.
Almost 6 months after, no communication on the payment for those who decided not to tender. Echikwam and wife, amongst others, are worried why government and Cocoa Board are failing to honor payment of those who failed to tender their cocoa bills after government pegged the participation in the exchange program at 97%, with over 7 billion Ghana cedis bills tendered.
We have been extremely successful with the current tendering
of more than 90% for cocoa bills of 7.9 billion cedis and US dollar exchange of $809 million. And detailed announcements will flow through when the settlements are done.
According to Gifty Kwam, wife of Echi Kwam, footing the bills of the award in the university has been very difficult.
Okay, so the cocoa bills matured in January 20th, and our fund managers were ready to give us the money, and then they got back to us and said that the money was not available, and it was clear from all the news that the funds had been rolled over without our consent, rolled over whatever interest rates that needs to be negotiated for the next 6 months. Nothing. They didn't pay us the principal. They didn't even pay the interest, and the documents we had, because of the uncertainty, no bank will even look on that and give you any money. And my husband is on retirement, you see, and that's what he had planned for. I mean, if anybody knows my husband, they know that he plans ahead of anything. He's a very organized person. And so he planned for his retirement. And even he didn't want to retire at this time, but because of illness, he had to stop. So now we are paying medical bills and monies are locked up. So we only managed through the first 6 months, hoping that by July 20th we'll get our money back. So in fact, TESA said, because the Bank of Ghana said institutions were not being paid, they actually put our names under individual accounts and actually inform the regulator so that we'll be paid like all other retail customers. So come July, we're expecting that at least we have suffered enough, our money to be paid us. Only for Cocoa Board to have another press release that either Cocoa Board or Bank of Ghana, I'm not sure, that we should exchange our cocoa bills for bonds. And we said no, and fortunately it was voluntary, so we said no. So we wrote to TESA and said no, we are not going to be part of that, hoping that our money will be paid us. 6 months after that, down the line, and almost 1 year since 20th of January last year, nothing has been paid, nothing is being said. We go to TESA Capital almost every now and then, and they have nothing. Some people are very organized people. They plan for their future because they want to enjoy the comforts. And so to take their investment, their lifetime investment, I mean, you are not paying them even the principal, then pay the interest. You are not giving them interest, nothing, and you are not saying anything, and everybody is quiet. I think it's morally wrong. And in fact, it's legally unacceptable. I mean, the trauma even to our children who have to even go through all kinds of things and explanations. It's not right because they know their parents and they know we planned for them. So I'm begging the ministry to pay us our money. That's all. It's our money. You rolled it over without our consent and with your own interest rates. Fine. You give us our money back. Give it to us. That's all we're asking. It's not right to keep it.
The family is in total disbelief and wants their monies to be paid or a communication from the Cocoa Board or the Finance Ministry.
Well, it's not been easy. It's not been easy. I've got a kid in school, in the university, and I have medical bills I have to take care of. We have the house I have to take care of, and it's not been easy. So every month we try and see what we can do, but it has not been easy. And that's it. It has not been easy. So that's why we keep going to them to try and get them to tell us if anything is going on, But we don't get any proper feedback.
I know you are not the only one being affected by this, but do we have other groups who are also complaining about similar situation?
Well, really, yes, there are other people, also going through this. I know there are, I don't want to mention names, but there are other people who are going through similar challenges. I know some people have died because of it. I know some people who are very sick. I know a lot of other people. But this one is, you have to cry for yourself, because the way it has been done, we don't get together like the previous guys got together to stage a demonstration and all that, because really we don't know ourselves. So we don't know what to do anymore.
We demanded that our monies be paid us, and they said that the only hitch with the first payment was that Bank of Ghana said that the monies had been put under one institution, and it was considered as an institutional investment. And so they went ahead and segregated the accounts so that individuals will have their monies under their names with the regulator. So they knew that since that criteria had been met, then we did not have any problem collecting our money in July. So they were very sure that we'll get our money in July. Come July, monies were not paid. And then you say that we should exchange our cocoa bills for, for bonds. And so we were taken aback because it hasn't been easy. It was not easy till then. We're hoping that at least we'll get some relief in July, and nothing happened. And it's a very stressful situation to go through at this time when my husband is on retirement and actually not that well.
Is it a joint investment between you and your husband, or it's just?
Yes, it's his investment plus mine put together, which we invested there. And we looked for the best option because it's like a pension stuff. We looked for something that has zero risk. And at the time, who would have thought that cocoa bills will have issues? And we even, when we gave it to the fund managers, it was a portfolio that was supposed to be managed. So they put a chunk in cocoa bills and put some in other, investments. And we're happy with the way they had managed it, until this whole issue came. And indeed, getting to the December, when we started hearing about exchange, a haircut and all that, we approached them and they said, the minister had made it clear that cocoa bills were not part of the exchange. So we were okay with it until the 20th when the thing matured, and now everything had gone haywire.
Being a woman of the house, how is it like, especially having Mr. Kwam go through all this?
It's not been easy at all. And I have my own business, a real estate business. And because of the economic terrain, everybody is very hedgy. People are not too sure of where to even invest. So sales, nobody wants to buy anything at this time. They're just like waiting to see what the next move will be. So even that is not really helping for me to even say I'll support him with that. And we have a home to manage. We have our last born in university. It's been very, very difficult. Nobody wants to go through that at this time of their lives.
Cocoa bill holders, just like the Kwam's family, are asking for an update on payment for those who decided not to tender their cocoa bills. James Ishen's report for Joy Business.
What can I say? Thank you so much, wonderful people, for watching the AM show this morning. Join Sweetie Abochi and yours truly, same time tomorrow for 4 hours. Up next, JoyNews Desk with Aisha Ibrahim.